All right, Jake, and we are live again. They said we wouldn't be back.
We're back.
Here we are.
Here we are. A lot of stuff to cover. Am I right?
Yes.
Man, I went a little happy earlier in the week.
With what?
Well, I heard there was a trade that went down.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
we should dive right into that probably.
Yeah, you definitely can.
Kind of big news.
So Jared Goff is no longer a Ram. He was traded for 2 firsts, a third, and he was traded for Matthew Stafford. Now, anybody that knows me knows how I feel about Matthew Stafford. I don't think I have to make that very clear, but in case you don't know me, I love Matthew Stafford. I have him as a top 7 quarterback in football, a guy that can work very well off script, has multiple arm angles, has impressive velocity, can really fit in any tight window in the league, can make all the throws, and he can run when he needs to. Very, very tough player. So I was very excited for this. Yep. I do kind of feel bad about this whole being this excited when, like, the fact that Jared Goff didn't work out. And I'll be the first one to say, I said Jared Goff and John Wolford were starting quarterbacks on the roster. I said they had 2. I still think they have 2 because I think Wolford is starting caliber. But I don't know, and I've said this before, I don't know if Jared Goff was ever going to bring a Super Bowl to this team. And so I think that's ultimately what it came down to. There's all sorts of stuff out there. Charles Robinson goes on A Brother from Another on Peacock. It's a sports show. And he basically just lays it out, and he says, I talked to people around the organization, and for the most part, it's like Sean McVay was done with Jared Goff. He was basically saying he needs to get here with me, and he's not getting there with me. And Sean McVay, in a sense, kind of looked at it from, going back to the Super Bowl, and he just kind of felt like he wasn't really getting better. And he felt like, Sean McVay himself really felt like he really needed to change the way things were going down because teams were figuring his style out. So he had to constantly be adjusting. And so he needed Jared Goff to be adjusting with him, and Goff was unable to do that. Another thing, with Jared Goff is, there's a report that comes out about Gottlieb saying he doesn't work very hard, and, the locker room was souring on him. There's all sorts of stuff coming out. I'm going to say this. I'm going to leave it very simple. I'm not going to question a guy's work ethic when I've never seen it myself personally. I don't know what he does. I've heard the same things. I've literally heard the same things from other people just asking around that he's a 9-to-5 guy, unlike Wolford, who stays until the job needs to be completed. But I don't know that personally. People I trust have told me that, but I don't know that personally. So I won't say that about Goff. I'll just say I think with the Lions, I think they're getting somebody who's a 26-year-old. I think his contract is easier now to maneuver because now they get him and 2 firsts and a third. So at any point they could trade him and really get their investment back or even get more on top of that. But I think he's exactly what they need, a guy that has arm talent, a guy that doesn't need to be doing too much because they do have a stable of running backs there, headlined by DeAndre Swift. And it's a head coach in Dan Campbell that just ultimately wants to run the football more than anything. So I think as long as you keep him on that leash, where you have him managing games, I think it's a win-win for everyone, a rare win-win trade that you just don't see very often in the NFL.
Okay. Yeah, I think Goff was holding you guys back. I didn't. I was always kind of nice and soft around Goff because he was your quarterback. But I watch Sean McVay's offense all the time, bro, and it's so good, and it's so creative, and it's so quarterback friendly. And Goff was just playing like an average to below average quarterback for the last 2 years. I never saw him. I didn't watch every single Rams game, but I never saw him do anything spectacular. Never saw him do anything that was jaw dropping where I was like, oh, this guy is amazing. And I think Matthew Stafford can make those types of plays. And I think. I understand some people are they're upset that you guys spent, 2 first rounds on him, 2 first-round picks. But if you look at it, first off, it's a quarterback-driven league, obviously. And you guys were only really a good to slightly above average quarterback away from, making a serious playoff run because of your defense, which is insane. And Sean McVay's offense, makes everyone look good. You have the good wide receivers to run that style of offense. You have Cam Akers. Dude, When I saw that the Rams made this trade, I was like, yeah, the Rams are legit next year for sure. Like, you have to put them in the conversation for like going to the Super Bowl, like hands down. I don't think Matthew Stafford is like a top 10 quarterback. I mean, I look at just what he's done with his team. I think top 10 quarterbacks elevate their teams, and he hasn't really elevated the Lions the way you'd like him to. They've been pretty underwhelming. And you can say they don't have a run game and all that stuff, but I mean,
I'll say this,
what have they done? And if you look at his stats, he's not producing like these mind-blowing numbers. He's not carving it up like a Deshaun Watson did on a bad team this year. You know what I mean?
I get
Does that make sense?
I understand that.
Yeah.
I think with Watson it's a little different because the guy can create everything, right? He can do so much. He's got track stars.
Right, but he's like a top 5 quarterback.
That
really.
also.
Yeah.
But I think Stafford, I mean, I'm going to tell you this right now. And I don't care how bold this is. This is my thought immediately when it happened. Stafford is going to win the MVP if he stays healthy, 100%. Because I was
That's
just watching
bold.
the film. Yeah,
That's
I know.
a bold claim,
I was
bro.
watching the film last night, and let me tell you, because I watch all the games, but I was going back with Stafford.
Sure.
And just starting off with the Bears game, Darrell Bevell is one of the worst offensive coordinators I've ever seen. I mean, his offensive coordinators, Darrell Bevell, Jim Bob Cooter, the guy's name that we find hilarious.
It's a great name.
It is a great name. I mean, he didn't have any like offensive mind, and really, we saw what he's capable of when he had Calvin Johnson. But I think it goes past that. Here's the thing: Calvin Johnson was a blessing and a curse for Matthew Stafford. Blessing because, well, he threw 50+ touchdowns to the guy. He was a monster.
Yep.
Curse because now everyone thinks he's overrated all the time. You can't talk to anybody.
Well, because I think he is. Because there's people like you that's saying he's 7. He's your 7th quarterback in the NFL, which I think is aggressive.
But I think he's been carrying this team in a way that Deshaun Watson isn't carrying the team. Like, I mean, there is nothing around him except for Marvin Jones. Kenny Galladay's never healthy, so he's not somebody. I like Hawkinson a lot, but Hawkinson's still a young tight end.
But he's talent. I mean, that's talent right there. That's a good tight end. That's a good wide receiver.
Okay, but I still think they're held back so much by their offensive coordinator.
Okay.
So much. I saw a play in particular. They had 3 guys run in the same spot.
Okay.
And it was just like mind-blowing. And then it's a bunch of 2-yard outs to Danny Amendola. Oh, by the way, Danny Amendola is like one of his premier targets.
Okay.
I think Stafford, very simply put, he's had 11 times in his 140-plus games he's played. He's had 11 games in which a running back's gone over 100 yards. He's had 1 top 10 defense his entire career. And I feel like, obviously people will be like, yeah, the excuses, yada, yada, yada. But I'm like, this guy has serious talent and has been put in a position where he can't win. We've seen it. We saw the touchdown pass he threw to DeAndre Swift that he dropped in the end zone, but quarterback wins.
People drop passes.
But he has a lot of that where he tries, the Falcons game to me embodied what Matthew Stafford is as a quarterback, what you're getting out of him. And in the Falcons game, it's the infamous Todd Gurley falls in the end zone, wasn't trying to score.
Yep.
They give Matthew Stafford about 45 seconds remaining, whatever. Stafford goes down the field, leads him to a touchdown, all the way down the field. And this is something he continuously does. I don't know the numbers, but I believe he's in the top 6. I just saw it the other day. He's in the top 6 in the fourth quarter comebacks in the entire league.
Okay.
He's legit. And the thing is, this is more important. With the Rams, he doesn't have to lead them back. The Rams, majority of the time, they're leading. That's the thing. Sean McVay's 37 or 36-0 at halftime when leading. And so I think this is the team he's been waiting to go to. It's no wonder why he wanted to go there. You have a running back in Cam Akers. You have another running back in Darrell Henderson. You have receivers in Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson. Tyler Higbee was an emerging star last year. Then this year he kind of fell off. I just think, to me, Michael E. King just pointed out he's 7th all time in fourth quarter comebacks, tied with Elway. So I feel like he's gotten a bad rap, and I feel like people kind of associate, we talk about this with the GO conversation. People want you to win. And I get that. But he has not been in a good situation. And the Lions, as you can see, they fired Jim Caldwell after, he went like 11-5, 10, like they aren't a good organization. And I think at the end of the day, Matthew Stafford gives the Rams an opportunity now to not only win a Super Bowl, to dominate the league because
dominate the league.
I think they could dominate the league.
That's bold, man.
They got a top 10 defense. They got probably a top 3 weapons in the league. And people are going to see, this offensive line was 3rd in the league according to Pro Football Focus. But with Goff at quarterback, all we ever hear is, wow, this offensive line is really holding back Jared Goff. Quite the opposite, actually. And I'm sure Sean McVay got tired of how, he was hearing how he was so limited in what he could do. And he was tired of hearing how it was his fault all the time. Because I'll be honest with you, what this does from a schematical standpoint is now, with Goff not under center anymore, teams are afraid of Matthew Stafford. Teams will go. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has said Stafford's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. Belichick said he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. There's all sorts of teams around the league that give Stafford his credit.
No, he deserves credit.
But that's the thing. Jared Goff, we've talked about this. Jared Goff flat out was not scaring any defense.
Okay, I'm just saying putting him top 10 right now is aggressive, especially
in the league. I don't think so. Think about it.
Well, you're 7. Specifically 7. I just think that's aggressive. So, I think he's got a good arm.
Well,
and
my
I think,
top 7. I mean,
and
I'll
I think
name
he's
for you.
And then I think he's smarter than obviously Goff, and I think he's going to be a better player than Goff.
Yeah.
And I think he'll have way more success probably than he's really probably ever had, except that one crazy year where he had 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns.
5,000-yard seasons.
Yeah, but that one season was bad. He threw it wasn't impressive. They were losing that season or something. But there was one year where he had 40 touchdowns or something, right? And over 5,000 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't think he's gonna.
I don't know if he even needs to do that. But
no, he doesn't have to do that. But I'm saying he's gonna have one of his most successful seasons. Without I would put money on that with Sean McVay, hands down. The thing I'll say is, but I just don't think he's a top. 7 is tough for me, especially when you look at some of the seasons he's had, bro.
Let's go
6-10, 6-10, he's gone. 3-12, 5-11. I know that his teams have not been phenomenal, but there's a point where a quarterback, if you're that type of quarterback, your team is not gonna lose 10 games in a season.
I mean, here's the thing,
right?
But it goes back to what I've been saying, when we talk about the GO conversation with Rodgers, and why I say that in the playoffs, when you look at it, he's putting up 22 or whatever points per game, similar to Tom Brady and the Patriots. But his defense is giving up a net negative 6 points per game. So he literally is always averaging 6 points less because the defense. And see, to me, I do think it comes down to all 53. I do think that Matthew Stafford's been in a horrible situation. That was obviously hidden when Calvin Johnson was there. But when he left, the organization was just entirely, they were complacent. They hire a defensive-minded coach in Matt Patricia, and what do? They bring in Darrell Bevell, who held back Russell Wilson. Cannot believe he got a job, by the way. I said this last week. Cannot believe he got another OC job and will be OCing Trevor Lawrence. He's doomed. But my point...
Hopefully not.
My point is that Stafford has not been in a great situation.
No, he hasn't. I agree with that.
And I'll say straight up, I think he goes to the Rams. I think he's in an incredible situation. What I was bringing up earlier with Goff is that Goff wasn't scaring defenses. So what they would do is they'd load the box, 9-10 guys even.
Sure.
Go back, watch Miami. Dude, they were zero blitzing all game long. He couldn't figure it out. So this is a big thing for me. Now you have Stafford. It opens up everything. It not only opens up the deep pass because now,
he's got a better arm.
They couldn't throw the ball.
He's got a better
deep down the field with Goff.
Yep.
But now it opens up the run game.
Yeah. No. Listen, I'm not. I think the Rams. I was one of the first to say they have Stafford now. They're one of the realest, scariest teams next year. But I just think we're overhyping him a little bit. You're saying MVP.
I don't know, man.
You're saying.
Think about this.
Top.
McVay
So who's your list?
Had Goff.
Who's your list then of quarterbacks? The 6 quarterbacks before Stafford.
So I would go in this order. I'd go, and keep in mind, I don't have Brady in there.
I would still.
I think Brady, 100%. I think Brady.
Did you look at the year he just?
Yes,
the year he just had.
I think he's a little bit. I think he's a little bit below though. But he plays in a severely pass-heavy offense.
Yeah, but he makes it happen.
He's top 10.
He didn't make mistakes. He got the ball where it had to go. He was the best deep ball thrower this year at 43 years old.
Yeah, and then look at the year prior though. You know what I mean?
It was still a solid. It was still a solid season, and he had basically a similar situation to what you just described with a better defense. The Patriots had a better defense. But I just said with a better defense, but no weapons, no support at all, and he still put up some solid numbers. I think if you don't have Brady in your top six right now, that's already top 10. I'm saying top 6.
No, I think my top 6 in this order, it would be first off, I'd say Aaron Rodgers, number 1.
Yeah, I mean he's in there. I don't know that I put him number 1.
I think number 2 is Patrick Mahomes.
Sure.
Number 3, I was leaning towards. Well, I'll keep it. Russell Wilson at 3. Number 4, I would probably go with. Let's see here. I'll go with Watson at 4. 5. Watson at 4. 5, I'll go with. It's tough too because
I need a list. I can't even remember all the quarterbacks right now.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to.
Let me try and pull it up.
I had a top 6 I knew off the top of my head. Now
yeah, let me pull it up.
Yeah. Who's number 5? Might be an obvious one that I'm just totally forgetting. I had Prescott at 6.
You gotta have Josh Allen in there.
I don't think Josh Allen's better than Stafford.
Interesting.
Here's the thing, though. I think Stafford has been doing this. Like, Josh Allen, to me, he needs to prove this after this season. He has not looked this throughout his career.
What about Derek Carr? You wouldn't put him in there? You like Derek Carr.
I like Derek Carr. He's top 15. I mean, Derek Carr's kind of limited what he can do off script.
For sure.
So, I mean, I want a guy that can. My personal preference, I need a guy that can work off schedule very easily. Yeah, I mean, I think Tannehill has an argument in the top 10. I wouldn't put him at 5. I would say, it's tough. I have Stafford.
Lamar Jackson,
that's who I was thinking of.
Okay.
So, yeah, my top 5 would be Rodgers, Mahomes, Wilson, Watson, Lamar, and then the rest of that, 6 to 10, I would go with Dak, Stafford, Brady, I think at 8, Ben at 9, and then 10, I'd probably go with Tannehill. No, you know what? I would go Justin Herbert, flat out. I think Justin Herbert is a top 10 quarterback.
Really?
I do.
So you think, okay, where did you put Allen in that list? Did you put him on that list?
No.
You have Herbert in there, but you don't have Allen.
Yes.
Because Allen needs to prove more than Herbert?
Yep.
That's stupid. I'm sorry. That makes no sense.
No, because here's the thing. So Josh Allen has, look at the Bills, okay?
Yeah, they were amazing.
Herbert comes in, and there's literally zero learning curve. So Allen came in, there was a massive learning curve.
But the Chargers didn't do anything.
They went 7-9, and now they have Brandon Staley. I think they'll be great.
Yeah, but the Bills went to the – okay, all right.
Yeah, no, okay. I'm really, really high on Justin. You know what? No,
that's fine to be high on him. I'm high on him too. I like him.
I'll stick with Tannehill. I like Tannehill a lot.
Okay.
But I think Herbert. I think Allen. I would have said Ryan, but he took a significant nosedive.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray.
Here's my list. So, and I hadn't thought about this, which is why I think Stafford in the top 10. When you look at the list of quarterbacks, he's right there. I mean, he's definitely on the cusp of it for sure. But I would have to put Wilson in there before him. This is in no particular order. Mm-hmm. Rodgers in there before him. Brady, Watson, Mahomes. Then I would go Allen. I would throw Lamar in there. I would flirt with throwing Derek Carr in there, but probably not. I would probably, if you asked me like talent wise, I would probably say Stafford is above Derek Carr. And then I would put Ben on the list. So there's like that's like 8 or 9 guys. So I would put Stafford at the cusp, like 10, 11, or maybe 12, just depending on like how I'm viewing each guy year to year. But so I think it's fine to say top 10, but like 7.
I think the top 6 I'm solidified on. Like I wouldn't move any of them because I think 100%.
I agree. Yeah.
All 6 of them, no matter what order you put them in, I think they're the top 6 quarterbacks in the league, including Dak. Dak does not.
Oh, I forgot Dak. I would put Dak above Stafford.
Yeah, I have
so
Dak
that
above
pushes
Stafford.
Stafford. That puts Stafford at like 10 or 11 for me.
Yeah, I got him at 7. I don't think it's that harsh because I think, like you said,
but guess what?
They could be interchangeable.
Dude,
Josh Allen, Brady.
With the Rams defense, all you need is a top 10 quarterback.
Well,
it's not like a top 10 quarterback is bad.
Well, this is why
like,
this
that's
is a
really
guy that's
good.
thrown for 5,000 yards before or 40 touchdowns. So I think in the Rams scheme, keep in mind we've never seen Sean McVay with a quarterback like
with
this.
With a good quarterback.
So this idea, like 2017 and 18, he could be better than that.
What do you mean?
Like, Goff looked good in both of those years, but I think he could be a lot better than that.
Yeah, he could.
And they were the number 1 offense in 2017, number 2 in 2018.
No, dude.
I think they can be better than the Chiefs. I do. I think so.
I think it's no debate that you got an upgrade over Goff with Stafford.
No, yeah, no debate at all.
So, but how do you, real quick, we've been talking a lot about this, but I just want, you feel okay moving 2 first-round picks for a 33-year-old, 33, 32?
Yeah.
33?
I'd do it all over again.
Okay. That's the only thing I'm like, But.
Well, from what, and we'll talk about it. Well, let's just talk about it now real quick. The thing that the Texans asked for Deshaun Watson was just asinine.
What are they asking?
2 firsts, 2 seconds, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. No quarterback in the league is worth that. No quarterback.
2 firsts, 2 seconds.
Jalen Ramsey could end up being the greatest cornerback ever, and Aaron Donald might be the best player of all time already.
Best player of all time.
Dude, I don't know if it's that close.
Okay. Anyways, probably not. Yeah, it's probably not worth it. But it's. I'm such a quarterback truther, and I think the NFL is so quarterback driven that I hesitate. I'm like, maybe. But probably not. At the end of the day, I would probably be like, no.
So, like, put in your position for your team.
No,
that's like giving up Minka
and TJ Watt.
And then giving up another guy to equal that.
And then 2 firsts and...
So, Minka, TJ, and Claypool, and then those...
I think it's similar. You're getting 2 star starting defensive players.
I just think Aaron Donald can't be... Like, he's not tradable. You couldn't think of a package that would make me want to trade him.
How old is he right now?
He's 29.
Yeah, so you get TJ Watt, who's 25. It's comparable. I'm not saying they're better or worse, but I'm saying it's a similar package.
Here's the thing though with the Watson deal. Does that make the Steelers better? I don't think so.
No.
Does that make the Rams better?
Well, I'm just thinking about it on any team's level. Like, basically, what they're asking for is 2 star defensive players.
Yeah, I just think it's
2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks.
I just think it shows how dumb that organization is, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
They're just really not a good organization.
Yeah, no, they're not.
I mean, I don't blame Nick Cassera for asking, but it's just,
So to piggyback off that, though, Deshaun Watson is saying he'll do anything to not play in Houston.
We were just talking about it. Why would you want to play in that? I mean, come on. They're willing to...
Where do you think he's going, man? Dude, it changes every week. There's like a new team.
I've stuck by 2 teams. And 2 teams, ironically, that played each other week 1 that looked really good and both kept it really close. 1-1 in the last play of the game. The Raiders and the Panthers. I think the Panthers have shown, because they had the desire to go out and get a guy like Matthew Stafford, they've shown they're interested. But I can see John Gruden out there like, man, I could get Deshaun Watson. Like, I could hear him saying that right now. Like, and honestly, did you hear John Gruden when after the Rams trade for Stafford? He sounded jealous, man. He sounded straight up jealous. I would not be surprised if John Gruden, and now you have Mike Mayock. I wouldn't be surprised if those 2 are just trying to concoct a plan to get Deshaun Watson. We have to change this football team. Look, I love Derek Carr. I think he's exactly what you need if you have everything around you. But the problem is the Raiders don't. The Raiders trade a lot away. They're building. They're getting there.
Do they have a lot of picks, though? I thought they've been, like,
they have a
wheeling and dealing.
Well, yeah, they have a decent amount of picks.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, they traded away Khalil Mack. So, I look at this, and I think the Raiders are a great option. I think Carolina's a great option.
Would he want to go to the Raiders, though? I don't know that
Las
I would.
Vegas?
Yeah, but I'm like, that franchise is questionable, and I'm coming from a questionable one,
Well, I just think
Houston's obviously a train wreck right now. But
I mean, you have the ambassador of the Houston Texans, Andre Johnson, coming out and saying, yo, you need to leave,
Yeah.
And so, I kind of feel like that's where I'm at in that. I think the Raiders and Carolina make sense. And, we've mentioned
Carolina
Washington
would be cool.
a lot.
Washington would be great.
But I don't know if Washington's going to give up that much. They've said they'll give up. They
should.
They were talking about giving up, we're going to give up 2 first-round picks. I'm like, okay,
you need more than that. You need more than that, yeah.
Like, for real.
I mean, what do you think of Wentz? Like, what do you think?
Well, we'll move on to our
What do you
Carson
think?
Wentz.
Yeah, dude. Like,
I mean, I think he'd be stellar with the Indianapolis Colts reuniting with Frank Reich, a guy that I think should take all the credit for getting him in the Super Bowl.
But what do you think happened with him? Because
Frank Reich left
at the beginning of the season. I was watching just to be like, what is going on? And he was awful. He just lost everything.
I think he lost confidence. I think when they took okay, so let's talk about this too. So we've heard the idea, the concept, when Brady had Garoppolo behind him, he played better. Like, he had his best season with Garoppolo behind him.
You think he got comfortable?
I don't think. Well, I think
or complacent.
You've seen quarterbacks getting drafted, and then all of a sudden it shoots up the level of competition.
Sure.
But I don't think it helped Wentz, and I think he shows you it's not always going to work. So when you draft a guy like Hurts, you saw with Rodgers and Love, like Love elevated Rodgers. He looked better this year than ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's entirely true based on Love, but you can see that the stats are there. But I think with Wentz, he's the cautionary tale of how that doesn't always work. You go out and get your Hurts.
So you think it was a confidence thing, though? I think it was more like injuries, right?
I think it's injuries. I think it's confidence. I think he loved Frank Reich. I think Frank Reich was the mastermind behind the whole offense.
Yeah.
And then when he left, all of a sudden, could that be any more obvious? He leaves, and then the offense goes into a tailspin.
Yeah. I mean, I also think they just haven't filled it with enough talent.
And by the way, I like Andy Reid, but I think it's definitely interesting how I don't think Matt Nagy's a good coach. I don't.
Yeah.
His offense
he
is
hasn't done, yeah.
And Doug Peterson here. I don't think his offense was that great. I think it was all Frank Reich.
That weird year they won the Super Bowl, everyone was sold on Doug Peterson being this great coach, and it hasn't translated.
Well, I mean, he's not even, with the team now.
I know.
So what are your thoughts, though, on the Bears and the Colts being interested? The Colts make perfect sense. Are the Bears just, throwing, whatever they tried to get Stafford? They're literally they tried to get Goff. I mean,
that's weird.
Are the Bears just, panicking? What are the Bears right now?
I don't know, man. I don't know why they would be. I feel like the Bears should have been in or should be in on Deshaun Watson. And if that's not a guy you can get, then find a guy in the draft.
Should have been into him in the draft.
Right, I know. Now you'd have to mortgage way more just to go get him. But if they can't get Watson, I don't think the Bears are a good enough team to be like, yeah, if we get Carson Wentz in here, we'll start winning a lot of games.
I felt like they were a fluke to make. Here's the thing. Matt Nagy has entirely rallied around defenses, which is fine. But like Sean McVay did that this year with Brandon Staley, and we know because he was limited with Goff. So he does that with Brandon Staley, and they still had top 3 in yards. They just weren't scoring points as much. But Brandon Staley, number 1 defense, you see Sean McVay. He had other years where they were the number 1 offense and the number 2 offense. Matt Nagy, no. The offense hasn't been amazing. And quite honestly, it's been the Vic Fangio and Chuck Pagano show. So I have my genuine concerns, and I don't know. I think Wentz going there is an absolute disaster for Wentz. I think it makes sense for the Bears because he's better than Trubisky, and you're just hoping. But I think it's awful for Wentz to go there. Absolutely
No, as
terrible.
far as his development and opportunity to start fresh, what's interesting is I look at Wentz and I'm like, if you can get him for cheap, I wouldn't mind him coming to Pittsburgh.
That would be interesting.
Because I think that would be the perfect situation for him. Just sit behind Ben for a year.
Yeah.
And just kind of learn from him a little bit, hone that craft, that skill set that's very similar.
I would like that.
When they came out.
I want him to succeed.
I think he could do a good job in Pittsburgh, but I just don't see the Steelers obviously trading for. I mean, his contract's huge, right? It's monstrous still.
It's Jared Goff's contract.
And they
if anybody had any questions who is better, Carson Wentz is going to net you 2 first-round picks and has the same identical contract as Jared Goff.
Is that what they're looking for? They're 2 firsts and we'll move them?
Bears are gonna really consider giving 2 first options.
So that's the latest
Yeah.
on that? Okay. Yeah. Well, Steelers obviously aren't going to do that.
The best fit to me is Indy, and it's not even close.
Indianapolis?
Yeah. Frank Reich, you have that great defense coached by Matt Eberflus. You have a 1,000-yard rusher in Jonathan Taylor. And then you have a young receiver that can grow with you in Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah.
And think about this. There are some guys in free agency. Colts have a lot of money. What if they go out and get a Juju Smith-Schuster or an Allen Robinson? I mean, they could really make that place desirable. Plus, you look at the offensive line, I'd say it's top 10 in the league.
Yeah.
So the Colts are primed. They have a coach that's ready, and Wentz can come in. I think he can immediately give you some help. I think he just needed a reset. He needed a reboot of his system because right now he's just been going in circles around a porous offensive line. Yeah, we could talk about how the Eagles have all these great offensive linemen. When are they ever healthy? Why is it every year Carson Wentz only has 2 of his starting offensive linemen?
And also, protect him all you want, but the weapons are very subpar. Like, there's no one that's
I know, and then everyone gets on Wentz. It's like he's got Gregory Ward Jr. That's who he's throwing to. Congrats.
Who actually, I think, ate up the Steelers in a game at one point.
Travis
Is
Fulgham.
he like this? Oh, Fulgham. That's who it was. It was Fulgham.
I like
who was
Fulgham.
like a 6th-round pick?
No.
Undrafted?
Yeah. They cut 10 times.
Dude, I think he caught for 200 yards against us and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Do the Eagles try and get one of those top quarterbacks and trade Hurts as well?
No. I think the Eagles deal Wentz for 2 first-round picks and whatever else they can squeeze out of that deal, and you drafted Jalen Hurts that high for a reason. Build around him for a couple years. See what he can do.
You know how I feel about the young quarterback ecosystem. I don't have to explain that.
See what you can do.
I don't believe they should trade Hurts.
No, that would be dumb.
But I think that they're going to.
Why? They don't like him?
I just think
they barely gave him.
I think they have no idea what they're doing right now.
Yeah, they have no clue if that's the case. No, if you can squeeze 2 first-round picks out of Wentz, that's beautiful. You get some nice weapons or just build your offense a little more and let Hurts take over for his contract, his rookie deal, and see what happens. He fits the mold of what you're looking for right now.
I absolutely agree.
And he's
I would never move on from
phenomenal leader.
The Eagles, but I think they will.
That's so dumb.
I think they'll use – here's the thing that'll be hilarious. They'll get a huge package for Wentz when they don't even deserve it.
And then they'll draft a quarterback.
They'll draft a quarterback. They'll use all that to trade up, and they'll get Justin Fields. And I'll be like, how much better is he than Hurts?
Imagine.
I swear to you they'll do it.
That would be funny.
Let's see. So now, Derek Carr, a guy that we've already mentioned a little bit. Let's see. 49ers favorite right now. They're considered the favorite. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I mean, I could see that being a successful kind of marriage. I could see some success happening there. I mean, the offensive coordinator you're going to have there, solid, fits the mold of, I think, what Derek Carr is pretty good at, the more kind of West Coast style of stuff.
What's going on with Garoppolo?
I don't know. You just try to friggin' soften that cap hit blow and
you send him in the Patriots.
Yeah, man, you get rid of him however you can because he ain't it. He ain't it. Do you like Garoppolo or no?
I loved him coming out, and I don't like him anymore.
Yeah, man.
I just feel like
okay, but is that your Rams bias?
No.
You just don't like him?
I see a guy
he looks like Goff.
Dude, I was going to say, I think he is a lower version of Jared Goff.
He might be equal.
He's equal.
I just think he's
lesser.
Comparable.
And but here's the thing. I'd rather have Goff because Goff has the best ability, which is the availability factor.
True.
He's missed 1 game in his entire career during the regular season, whereas Garoppolo's always hurt.
Well, when they signed him to that deal, I was like, that's dumb. I knew right away. I was like, that's not going to work out. It's just not. That's too much money for what he did.
Yeah. By the way, I if I'm the Patriots, I'd go after one guy, and everyone will laugh at me. I'd go after Mitch Trubisky, straight up.
Oh, God.
I'd put him in the Josh McDaniels offense.
Oh, no.
No,
That's gross.
No,
Why would you wish that on Patriots fans?
No, I do. I think he's better than Cam Newton.
Oh, my God. I
think
mean,
he's got
maybe.
upside.
But what was Cam Newton was abysmal.
Do you remember that game he threw 7 touchdowns against Belichick? Belichick was watching.
That's great, man. Good for him.
I'm just saying. I would
that's
definitely.
That's what we call a shooting star, a lightning in a bottle moment. That is not Mitch Trubisky.
I don't think he's as bad as people say.
Dude.
I don't.
Dude. He's not good.
I don't think he's great, but I don't think he's as bad as people say.
So why do you think he would be successful in New England?
Because I like the system, first off. I like the way Bill Belichick and co. develop quarterbacks. I mean, look, they had Brissett and they had Garoppolo. When they left, I mean...
Is Trubisky young still? He's young, right?
Yeah.
He's like 27.
Yeah, he was in the Watson draft.
Oh, so he's young.
That's my point, is that we're giving up on this guy way too quick.
But, dude, I mean...
And think about this. He was with Nagy, who I just basically trashed for the last half hour or whatever. I don't think Matt Nagy's that good of a coach. I don't think he helps. But I think Josh McDaniels, as much as we clown him, McDaniels is an offensive mind that can help you.
He can.
And I think they were building something, with Garoppolo. They were building something with Brissett. They traded them away. Brady is the guy, and then he leaves. And it's like, I feel like they truly, right now, they need to look at this defense and think, this defense is good enough. Let's get a quarterback that we can develop and develop the offense. Let's keep the defense going.
The offense,
Let's keep our well-oiled machine. Because that's the thing. That's what was so dominant about the Patriots. They kept their defense a well-oiled machine that it allowed them to compete for years.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Because they need to start from scratch on the offense.
But I don't like Mitch Trubisky, and I never liked him. Like, when he was drafted coming out of North Carolina, I didn't like him even then. I liked him, but not where he was picked. I was like, that is way too high. He was second, third? It was top 10.
I think it was second.
Yeah.
Because they were at third, and then the 49ers made them trade up.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
They traded a third-round pick to move on.
I was like, yeah, forget that. So, I don't know. I'm just not a big Mitch Trubisky fan. I think he could have more success in that offense, but still, I just don't think he's that guy.
Don C is asking, what are y'all's take on Teddy Bruschi saying Stafford is not tough enough to play in New England?
I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I just think it's so rich for somebody that
and that's
was
just
part
like
of the
him
whole...
being salty.
Because
Matt said he didn't want to play in New England.
I just think it's so rich for somebody that comes from an organization that was part of Spygate to be.
I don't even care about that. I just think it's a dumb take that shows he was bitter.
And
that just doesn't add up.
But it's like tough enough to play in New England. It's like, bro.
And New England is like not known for like rugged and I mean they're a good football team.
They are.
But they're not. Yeah, right. They're not exact. They're not like a Pittsburgh or an AFC North team that's like, oh yeah, buckle your chin strap, boys. It's like, bro, he could play in New England.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Like Cam Newton played in New England. Like, come on now. Like I
he was just mad. He was just mad.
Yeah, he's all mad because he wanted Stafford. Like Stafford didn't go to the Patriots for one reason. You know what it is? I'm sure you know. It's Matt Patricia. Dude doesn't want any part of Matt Patricia ever again. He blew up that entire team.
Yeah, you're right. You're probably right.
So it's not like every Patriot fan that's taking it personally. It's Patricia.
I forgot.
He has nothing against Belichick. Belichick's been awesome.
I know. I forgot that they sent Patricia back to New England as just a random title.
Yeah, like
a coaching assistant or some like
various coaches.
Yeah, like not a real title.
A coach of various positions.
Basically, they're just like, come back. It's okay. We'll take care of you.
It's like, I mean, I don't blame them for bringing him back.
No,
but like
he was good there.
I also don't blame Stafford for never wanting to be in the same building as him again.
Yeah.
So yeah, going back to Carr though, there's that talk about Winston going to the Raiders, Carr going. So Derek Carr, could he play in the same organization that his brother played for?
Yeah, he could.
I mean, he'd be automatically the greatest quarterback that they've had since. They had Watson. But, aside from Watson, I mean, Carr would be.
He'd be up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we have other NFL news.
They might ruin him.
Yeah,
just like they did.
We're not going to talk about that.
Because he's going into a similarly bad situation. He's literally going into a similar.
It's so true.
Situation as his brother.
Tony Baselli was on that team.
Yeah, dude. I hope. Oh man, whatever.
We're getting to that later on.
Yeah.
But other news. So remember, we had a little bit of a funny moment where we didn't realize that Gary Kubiak was still in the league last week. And he retired. I think this is a cool moment.
Good for him, man.
His son, Clint Kubiak is taking over as the OC.
Clint. Okay.
According to
Clint.
Justin Jefferson.
Clint Kubiak?
I don't think he was supposed to leak it, but Justin Jefferson leaked it in an interview.
Nice.
So now we're leaking it, I guess.
Where's he from? What's his experience?
I think he was the quarterback coach.
Okay.
And then the Giants are deciding to keep Jason Garrett at OC. They were 31st in the league in offense. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Great move, guys. Brilliant.
I mean, I don't get it.
What's your take on Daniel Jones?
They should move on yesterday.
Okay.
I don't think he brings anything to the table. I was not impressed
No, he
with
doesn't.
him at Duke. I think the most impressive thing he has are wheels. The dude can run.
Weirdly, yeah.
It doesn't make sense, but he can run.
Do you remember I saw Next Gen Stats. He was the fastest runner in 2019. He had that one play, it might have been this year, where he ran for 80 yards.
He tripped.
Yeah, but he got his top speed was faster than any recorded top speed that year.
That's just whack.
That makes no sense. It makes me question everything basically.
But he's the problem is he's making the decisions. I just see him as another Jared Goff, but he can run. And I think even worse though, Goff has toughness. I question his toughness, dude. That dude does not he can't take a hit. And
does he shy away a lot?
Yes,
from hits? Yeah.
He's terrible. He looks like Sam Bradford did his rookie year.
Okay.
Not his rookie year. When things started to go bad, the 115 season with the high ankle sprain, that's how he looks.
Okay. What else?
Andrew Luck is more retired than he was before, according to Jim Irsay. That stuff kind of blew up about. There was a fake
I never
tweet
bought
or
into
whatever.
it. Yeah.
Andrew Luck is not coming back.
He's the type of guy who he makes his mind up and he's just that's it. That's what I'm doing.
Well, he's also too smart for football. Let's be real here. He went to Stanford. This is somebody.
I don't think you can be too smart. There's plenty of smart players.
Well,
I just think.
But the point of too smart for football came when Chris Borland of the 49ers, he retired after going to the Pro Bowl. And
right.
Was why?
He was worried about his
too smart
head
for football
injuries
because he doesn't have that bloodthirsty crunch. He doesn't operate that way. Football players are different. I forget who explained it, but he said you have to basically go to war every day, and you have to go in thinking, I don't care how badly I hurt another man. And it's at some point or another, you get sick of that feeling. At some point or another, you get sick of the off-season preparation, and then you leave.
Sure.
You quit. But there's guys that simply, I'm good at this sport, but this is not my passion.
Well, okay, so I don't think that means you're too smart, though. I think there's plenty of really smart players.
Well, yeah, no, there's really smart players, but
you just mean
he's just thinking long term,
right? And he's more I like it. It's fun. It makes me a lot of money.
There are guys that literally will not think long term.
Eat and sleep and breathe football.
Ray Lewis didn't think long term at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Tom Brady, he said he'll play until he sucks.
Dude, he said. Did you see the headline that came out that he said he wants to play past 45 now? I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
I mean,
knew
why
when
not?
He said
I don't think he's gonna have a significant drop off.
No, because he takes care of himself, man.
Dude, he looks like he's reverse aging.
What if he plays till 50?
That'd be pretty cool.
He probably could. He could. I don't know how great he'd be at that point, but he could.
You just go to a top 10 defense and give yourself a chance to win, like Peyton Manning had. So Adam Schefter. We're skipping. Steelers are going to discuss the future with Big Ben next week.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's coming back. But I think the question is, how long is he coming back for?
1 to 2 years max. 2 years max.
What do you think they talk about? How would that discussion
Just the
go?
Contract, just how they're going to handle it, what they're going to do, adding false years to it to extend some of the dead money hits, and then potentially dropping his salary as well. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he said that he'll take however much money it is as long as, he wants to remain
with the
You're lucky you got a
Steelers,
quarterback that literally wants to die for that team.
Yeah, bro.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not saying Goff didn't want to do that, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Adam Schefter refutes all reports on Cousins being a trade target. He, quote-unquote, has heard nothing of the sort. So, I think Cousins doesn't really make a lot of sense, in my opinion. I think Carr makes more sense. Cousins, I have questions. I think Carr's doing more with less. And I feel like Cousins has Thielen. He has, he had Diggs, of course.
He had Diggs.
Cook. And then, of course, Justin Jefferson, the emergence of him. I just think, to me, you get more with less out of, Carr. And I think he'd be better with guys like Deebo Samuel and guys like Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. Whereas I feel like Cousins is just, he'd be downgrading his receivers, in my opinion.
Yeah, Cousins to me is like a Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know, like you'll see him have great games and it'll inspire a team to sign him in the offseason and think like maybe this guy can take us all the way or at least get us to a playoff run. And then when they really have to deliver, they just can't. You know what I mean? Because we've seen Kirk Cousins light things up and have great years statistically, like at a full scope of the season. You're like, wow, he had a good year. He was worth that money. But what team Kirk Cousins has ever been on has actually made like a serious run where you're like, watch out for the Kirk Cousins-led X, Y, and Z. Like, you're just like,
he's a guy that can put up stats, but like if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, I don't know if that's your guy.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the same reason why Goff isn't your guy. I think
What do you mean?
Like, he has better pocket presence than Jared Goff.
I think he's a better overall quarterback than Jared Goff.
I do too, but I think with Cousins, there are times where he just he gets really, like, just erratic, kind of spirals out of control, throws a ton of interceptions.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He'll do some things and you get inspired and then...
See, I don't think Shanahan wants that. I think Shanahan would opt for Garoppolo, who doesn't turn the ball over nearly as much.
Or a Carr.
Well, Carr's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
If the 49ers can get Carr, that's like getting Deshaun Watson in a sense. Because they just need a guy that'll... Well, I'm not saying, like, but they don't have to... Basically, the value's there because they don't have to give up anywhere near as much as they would for Watson.
Yeah.
They get a guy that takes care of the football and can throw touchdowns.
What are the Raiders asking for Carr? Did we review it? Like, does anyone know?
There's nothing out there,
No
really.
murmurings?
I would probably say 2 first-rounders would do it.
Really?
He's a young quarterback.
Yeah, but 2 firsts for Derek Carr? I don't know.
Maybe a first. I don't know. The Stafford stuff really puts everything in perspective.
Yeah, that's true.
I think more so Wentz, but... So, looking at that, someone beat us to the Teddy Bruschi stuff. And then Sean Payton, there are 31 other teams that would trade for Taysom Hill if available. All right, can I just say, why the hell are you saying something like that?
What?
There are 31 other teams that would trade for Taysom Hill if he was available. Okay, is he available? Is that what you're saying? Are you trying to get off that hill that you were trying to die on, Sean Payton?
Yeah, dude.
I mean...
What is up with Sean Payton and his love for Taysom?
It's weird. Like, and he's the guy that's signed long term to be the quarterback, and they're already talking about moving on from him and going to Winston, which is, I don't know. There's somebody by the name of JkBogen that literally told you repeatedly that Winston was better and should have started, but they went with Taysom Hill. So I don't know what Sean Payton's doing. And be honest with you, like,
maybe he's playing 3D chess and he's just building up Taysom Hill's value.
I don't know.
And tricking people into when he's like finally like, okay, he's on the trading block. Teams are like, oh my god, he's trade. Oh my god, and they give like 3 first-round picks for him. Obviously not.
That's a nightmare.
But that's the only explanation for why he has such a love fest for Taysom Hill, bro. It makes no sense.
Sean Payton.
It makes no sense.
I also think the Saints should move on from Sean Payton. I think the era's over.
With Drew Brees.
Leave it with Drew Brees. You could trade Sean Payton away for picks.
I get that. Yeah, I can see that.
Why don't you just trade him away? You get Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Panthers, young offensive mind. You bring him in. You build around him. Why are they sticking with Sean Payton? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I'm interested to see what they do. That's going to be an interesting quarterback situation.
They also have like over $100 million in cap.
I know. That's
over cap.
Another part of the puzzle there, yeah.
Yeah, that's always fun.
All right, before we jump into the Pro Football Hall of Fame stuff, you want to take the intermission break?
Yeah, let's take an intermission.
All right, cool. All right, guys, we will be back in roughly 5 minutes. Let's see. We're back.
What up? So, in case you missed it already, we discussed the Rams Lions blockbuster trade. We discussed Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, Derek Carr, the latest NFL news. Now we're going to move on to NFL honors real quick. Just go over who we think is going to be the MVP, all that down the board. And then we'll go into Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll talk about who we think we would vote for, who the prediction would be. And then, we'll obviously get to the Super Bowl and maybe throw in some NFL drafts. So it's a fun show. Appreciate you guys for joining us. So diving into it, Adam, NFL honors, who is your MVP?
Oh, God. Honestly, I mean, if it's my MVP, you got to go with Mahomes again.
Really?
Yeah, for me. It's either Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. But I look at what the full scope of the season, and Mahomes is once again in the Super Bowl. Played good all year. It's Mahomes for me. What about you, though?
I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think he's
It's
just
those
done.
two, right? I mean, who else would you really put? It's got to be them
It'd be
two.
between Mahomes and Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think Rodgers 48 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Yeah, that was
It's
crazy.
just ridiculous. And
It's video game not even. I mean, it's just.
yeah, I just don't feel like Mahomes had as great of a year as Rodgers. I mean, there's no doubting the talent he has, but I just felt like Rodgers' season was just unreal.
Yeah, but do you put like team success into like the honors, or do you just do it like strictly that player? They did.
Strictly the player, and
because a lot of people will be like, well, I always weigh in as well, like the team success,
Well, then I would say that
Mahomes.
Well, no, I'd still say Rodgers.
Really?
Their defense was like top 20 in the league all season. They weren't like special. They came on at the end. The Packers did.
Yeah.
Plus, you have to keep in mind you end the voting after week 17.
True.
So none of the playoff stuff matters.
That's true.
So I'm definitely going with Rodgers there.
That's fair.
Now, who would you go with Offensive Player of the Year?
Offensive Player of the Year? That I would go Rodgers. Because that I look at more like what they did statistically at an individual level. You know what I mean? That to me is like more of a microcosm of the player.
I always felt it was weird because it's like, shouldn't the MVP always win Offensive Player of the Year since the MVP is always offense?
I don't think so because...
But I think it's the unofficial everything else trophy. Like, it's not... Like, quarterbacks aren't even like... No one gives the Offensive Player of the Year anymore to quarterbacks. Like, the year when I thought Todd Gurley should have won the MVP in 2017, Tom Brady won the MVP, but they gave Todd Gurley the Offensive Player of the Year. So, if we're going by that... I got to give it to Mr. 2000, Derrick Henry.
Okay.
It's 17 touchdowns.
I mean, yeah, you can't disagree with that.
We talked about him for a while on this show during the playoffs.
I wouldn't debate you.
He had 16 20-plus yard runs, which is just incredible. The next guy, honestly, had 12, was Nick Chubb, who only played 12 games. So that's pretty impressive in itself. He had 4 40-plus yard runs, and his longest was 94 on the season. I just think Derrick Henry at the end of the day, coming to over 2,000 yards, was just super impressive, and it's something that needs to be said. Defensive Player of the Year, I think we might be a little split on this, but I'm going to go with Aaron Donald. I do think Aaron Donald is the best defensive player in football, and if you want to Bill Belichick him, because we know Bill Belichick's the best coach in the league. If you want to Bill Belichick him, then I'd go T.J. Watt. And the reason I say that is because Bill Belichick is the best coach, but he never wins Coach of the Year. So if you're going to do that, I'd say T.J. Watt's second. But to me, I just feel like the way Donald impacts the game, he was the sole reason that this team made that leap to the number one defense. We saw it in the playoffs. He was the sole reason they leaped to number one. I think Brandon Staley makes this defense a top 12 defense, but without Donald, they're maybe top 10, but they're not top 10 guaranteed. So I think it's very, very, very important to have a guy like Aaron Donald on your team. He takes on double teams, triple teams, allowed, a guy like Leonard Floyd had his best season ever He played with Khalil Mack, and he had his best season ever with Donald. Just everyone around him played better, and I think ultimately that's what led to some great statistics from a guy like Jalen Ramsey, who was doing very well. Obviously, he's great in his own right, but I think it helped the secondary so much.
Yeah.
I'd say Donald, but I'd say Watt if you're trying to Belichick him and not give him the.
Well, that is just a slap in the face to T.J. Watt, my friend. I get it though. I do understand it, but that's more of just like making a, what's the word? A less concrete argument, more of just like a, I guess, perception. Because if you talk statistics, and also obviously Donald is freaking a monster.
Yeah.
Surefire Hall of Famer. I don't know best player ever, like you said, but definitely on the list, like a short list for one of the best defensive players in the history of the NFL. I mean, he's unreal, his power and quick. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, quite honestly. But if we're talking about 2020, the year, and looking at the awards, TJ Watt, I look at stats, and TJ Watt led in every stat except for forced fumbles against Aaron Donald. And TJ Watt did not play all of the games this year. I don't know if Donald did. Maybe you could tell me. I know he had an injury at one point.
Donald, yeah, he didn't get hurt until the playoffs, so he did play all the games.
So even with one less game, TJ Watt had, 53 tackles to Aaron Donald's 41, 15 sacks to Aaron Donald's 13.5, which is still like ridiculous for an interior defensive lineman. Tackles for loss, TJ Watt had 23 to Aaron Donald's 12. Pressures, TJ Watt had 55 to Aaron Donald's 42. QB hits, TJ Watt had 41 to Donald's 26. Forced fumbles, TJ Watt had 2. Aaron Donald had double that at 4. And then pass defenses, TJ Watt had 7, Donald had 1. And then interceptions, TJ Watt had 1, Donald had 0. So he pretty much led in every single important pass rushing stat except for forced fumbles. I think you can make a case every year to give it to Donald. You could also make a case every year that TJ Watt has finally, since his rookie season, to give it to him too. So I think TJ Watt, just based on the stats and outperforming him in 7 of 8, I think it's him.
Yeah, I think Donald with his 98 pressures from the interior position. And
okay, but we're comparing stats, and they're both pass rushers, and they're on D line. Though. Yeah, but I just listed off what he leads in like all of them.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is though, you have a guy with a pass rush production grade of 10.4, pressure, and then TJ Watt has 9.7. So if we're going,
so he's 0.7 worse.
So if we're going by stats, though, Aaron Donald plays a position where he's a defensive interior lineman in a 3-4, and is not an edge defender.
Yeah, but he rushes the pass.
He does, but he has 98 pressures to TJ Watt's 73, which I'm not saying TJ Watt isn't deserving. Okay. But I'm saying that I think Donald.
Okay.
It's there, obviously.
I'm looking at them as pass rushers, and I think that's how Donald is utilized, and they're both utilized as pass rushers. So when you look at the pass rushing stats, TJ Watt
I'm looking for it right now, and I can't find the double team production, but Aaron Donald gets double teamed more than anybody in the league. Like, it's not even close.
Well, if we don't have that stat, we probably shouldn't talk about it, because I know TJ Watt gets double teamed too, and I'm sure Donald gets more, but
I'm definitely interested on it. This is a debate. The other ones, okay. So 70.1% of the time, Aaron Donald was. Hold on.
Because now you're just Googling stuff. We can Google stuff all day. If we want to have like a debate about this, we should prep stuff and actually sit down.
I get that, but I'm just saying if you want to use stats, then I think that there's stats for both players.
Okay.
So the double team percentage, that's a stat, and then the pressures, having close to 100 pressures in a season as an interior defensive
lineman.
lineman.
Have pressures right here on this list. I went through that. So
yeah, I'm just saying.
And TJ Watt leads.
He doesn't lead.
Yes,
according to PFF, he's not even close.
Okay. All right, man. All right.
So, yeah.
All right, so you think Donald. I clearly think TJ Watt, and we will see tonight. But obviously you can make a case.
I think you can make a
Aaron
case
Donald
for either.
Every year.
I think the problem you have to run into, the problem you will run into, is that there are people that will say, well, so-and-so had 10 interceptions. And I will say this.
Okay. Where are you going with this?
Well, no. Xavier Howard.
Yeah.
People would be like, well, Xavier Howard had like 10 interceptions.
That's okay.
And I'd be like, well, yes.
But that's just a singular stat.
Right? He was great.
That's a singular stat.
But I just don't feel like my offensive player of the year, or defensive player of the year, if he's going to be a corner, like, he needs to be the way Jalen Ramsey played, like, giving up only like 28 yards per game and have 10 interceptions. Xavier Howard didn't do that.
Okay.
And I think it's really hard at this level in this, this level in the game. I think it has to be an edge defender or an interior defense.
I just look at them.
Or a linebacker.
Yeah. I'm just looking at it from a pass rusher perspective. I'm not trying to get too deep into the weeds because we could talk in circles and pull up a bunch of percentages and stuff about, well, when they're aligned in this thing, TJ Watt blows them out of the water, but then when they're aligned in this formation and
I'll agree with you. I think those are the only two, though.
They get triple teamed like this, and I'm just like...
I mean, Shaq Barrett is second in pressures. Tuitt's fourth. Ogba's fifth. Wow, that's pretty impressive. But, I mean, I'd say Donald faces more double teams and has more quarterback pressures, and that's why I would probably go with him.
But I don't. Okay, well, I don't know the list you're referencing, and I haven't had a chance to look at it. So, but if we want to actually, well, I guess the award's coming out tonight, so we can't do an actual. That would have been fun to do.
Yeah.
Well, but we'll see tonight. But I think if TJ Watt wins it, it's well earned, and it's not Belichicking him. That's kind of like.
I wasn't necessarily saying that
on the award.
Watt doesn't deserve it, but I'm saying at some point down the line, they will Belichick him. He won't be eligible. Donald. I don't think he'll be eligible for a Defensive Player of the Year. Because they'll be like, well, he's the best. And I don't think that's fair because how many times do you hear those arguments used when deciding, who's the best player of all time? How many times do people bring up all pros and Pro Bowls and
but then you're getting into perspective again and what you're assuming people are thinking that we don't have access talking to and stuff. I don't.
No, I'm just saying. I think down the line he will be Belichick.
Well, I think he's probably already been Belichick. Has he won it every year?
Yeah. So I think down the line he'll be Belichick. If it's not this year, it'll be some year.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll be this year. There's talk and there's buzz about him. I think there'll be a time where they're literally they're not mentioning him in the conversation.
Well, I would hope not because that would be stupid.
But they'll do it.
That's not how it should work.
Yeah.
But.
So next we have Coach of the Year.
Yes.
And I literally have no idea. I'm going to have to kind of go through it in my head. Do you have any idea where you're going? I think there's many places you can go because, first off, Kevin Stefanski deserves all the credit in the world turning that Browns team into what they've become.
How about the Bucs coach?
Arians? I think Arians last year had a good team. I think they were,
they didn't have the quarterback.
And I still think if you gave Winston an opportunity this year, they could have made the playoffs. So
yeah, they could have made them, but could they be in the Super Bowl?
I just think as far as pushing that team further, Stefanski had a huge jump. Ron Rivera deserves some credit, but then again, Washington wasn't amazing. They didn't win a bunch of games. I'd say Judge deserves an honorable mention. What he was able to do with the Giants with all those injuries, 31st ranked offense, and they had a chance to go to the playoffs in the final game of the season. I think I'm going Arians. Arians,
and that's more of me also. One time for Arians, just because of what he did in Pittsburgh.
Gotcha.
And I think he did good, man. I mean, he's in the freaking Super Bowl.
He didn't do good.
He is in the Super Bowl. I mean, come on.
I think an honorable mention should literally go to Brandon Staley.
Okay.
Because
that's fair.
Sure. His effort with the defensive coordinator turning them to the number one defense.
Yeah.
The Rams have had historically some great defenses. You talk about going back to the fearsome foursome with Deacon Jones and Merlin Olsen and Lamar Lundy and Rosie Greer. I mean, they had great defenses.
Yeah, of course.
But this defense is unlike anything we've had in franchise history. So,
dude, yeah.
I think he deserves credit for that. I wouldn't give him the Coach of the Year.
I think you have so much talent, though, too. You got to consider that. I mean, the Rams' talent on defense is.
Yeah, but why didn't Wade get the most out of it? You know what I mean?
Well, I think they got those pieces in there, and they finally kind of gelled really well this year. It looked like they were playing off of each other really well, too.
Yeah, I think he deserves an honorable mention.
He's obviously responsible.
Stefanski, I would say, I mean, it's tough, to be honest with you. Brian
It might.
Flores, man.
You know what, dude?
It might actually.
I
Be
did
Brian
slate the
Flores.
Browns, though. You're right. Kevin Stefanski. He's definitely worth talking about. He might be it just because of what the Browns have represented for so long, and they finally went to the playoffs and beat the Steelers.
Yeah.
That like title and that headline might be so Hollywood that they're like, yeah, just make it Kevin Stefanski, you know? Because that was huge for them. That really was.
It's so tough for me. Like
I know. There's a lot of good prospects, man.
I don't want to sell what Brian Flores did short. I don't want to sell what Sean McDermott's team did short.
I know.
You know, what the Bills were able to do.
Well, the fact is there's a lot of great candidates. There was a lot of teams that people weren't talking about this year that did great things, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that they'll probably pick Arians, if I'm being honest.
That's
Arians
yeah.
or Stefanski.
right.
So I'm going to go with Flores.
Okay.
I'm going to say if I were voting, I'd go with Flores. Straight up. But I think they'll pick.
I would go Arians or Stefanski.
Yeah, I think what Flores did for Miami was just huge. And he did it with a rookie quarterback that he was forced to start by higher-ups. He wanted to start Fitzpatrick.
And he did not look good, by the way.
Yeah.
What do you think of Tua? You in or out? Didn't you like Tua?
I liked Tua as a fan of, like, because I root for Alabama.
Right.
And I like him. I liked what he brought to the table, but I always felt like there was something missing in his game. And then the injuries came and scared me away. Like I red flagged him on my board because of the injuries.
Yeah.
And I said over and over again, Miami, you pick Herbert, you're golden. And they didn't pick Herbert, and I was like, that was the perfect fit.
So do you think his struggles were injury related? I felt like it was just like talent related. He didn't look great talent wise.
He had a couple solid games, but I mean, for the most part, I just think he's not very comfortable, and he's a guy that you're gonna have to stick with and develop because you made the bed, now you have to lay in it.
Yep.
And I don't like all the talk. Well, okay, they're in a different position because of what they got from Houston for the Tunsil trade. They have 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
They could draft a guy.
It could turn into the Cardinals
because they got
situation.
That pick. Because if they didn't have that pick, they'd have like a top 20 pick.
Right. It could be like the Josh Rosen, Kyler Murray thing all over again.
Like at all.
I know you like Josh Rosen.
Yeah. By the way, did you know that Josh Rosen's on the 49ers? I had no idea.
I think I knew that, yeah.
Apparently, they claimed him off the Buccaneers practice squad. Yeah, I had no idea. Okay. Then, so Coach of the Year. So I have Flores, you have Stefanski? Or Arians?
I have Arians, yeah.
Okay. I have Flores, but I think it'll probably be Stefanski or Arians.
Makes sense, yeah.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think there's one guy that comes to mind. If Burrow stayed healthy, he could have.
Herbs?
But it's Herbert.
The Herbster?
Herbert is literally going to win this.
He should.
There's not another. Maybe somebody gives a vote to Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor was great in his own right.
He'll probably get a vote or two. Yeah,
but it was every single game. Herbert just looked like a man amongst boys at times. I felt like his deep ball is already one of the best in the league.
It's so pretty.
He didn't look anything like he did on Hard Knocks. I was legitimately concerned
didn't look
about
like
Hard
how
Knocks.
he did it even Oregon. He looked better at the.
So weird thing with Herbert is I feel like his first year. Don C just mentioned Justin Jefferson. He would have an argument.
Oh, duh, yeah, good call.
I forgot
good
about
call.
him.
Yeah.
So he would definitely have an argument. I'd still go with Herbert, but I would say this: at Oregon, it was really weird because Herbert's freshman year, his true freshman year, was when I was like, that's when it popped for me. I was like, that dude is going to be 100%. I was Trevor Lawrencing him. I said 100% he's going to be the number 1 pick. And then I started to sour on him a little bit, as he kind of went along. I felt like he
was just up and down a lot,
progressing.
Yeah.
And I think part of that's on Oregon. I don't love Oregon's coaching staff. I don't love their offense, and I think Justin Herbert, just the natural talent and just his ability, like all I've ever heard is that he can be coached up, and he's somebody who's very coachable. I think he just kind of bought into the system and bought into the NFL, and things slowed down from day one. He
looked awesome, dude.
He did. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think this is a no-brainer for me. It's Chase Young. I just, to have a rookie come in and be that much of an impact player, and he missed a bunch of games, but he was so vital for Washington's defense. They rallied around him.
Yeah, they did.
I would definitely give it to Chase Young.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that really comes to mind for you?
Not really. I'm trying to think. No one like jumps off.
I felt like the linebackers could have an opportunity. Like if, say, Isaiah Simmons had a really good season, or Patrick Queen of the Ravens, but
I think it's Chase Young.
I just don't think any of them made the leap that Chase Young did.
No,
Chase Young's already a top edge defender in my mind.
He was pivotal for them in that run that got them into the playoffs too. So yeah, I think it's him.
Yeah, I would say so as well. And then comeback player of the year, to me, it has to be Alex Smith. Just what he was able to come back from. I just think
that's so annoying though, because it's like, oh, he can't. Yeah, his leg. He almost lost a leg, but he didn't do anything when he came back. He came back.
No,
if that's the award, is that you came back?
I'm telling you though that
but if you're talking come back and performed, it's Ben Roethlisberger. Period.
Yeah, you could definitely make that argument.
Make the argument.
I think they're gonna choose Alex Smith.
Yeah, because he almost lost his leg. Looked like salami. But that's just. It's annoying. As a Steelers fan, it's annoying. But I guess I get it because, yeah, he came back. He did come back. He's in the NFL.
Who else would be up for
he wasn't
that debate?
Good,
who did we lose last year to injury? Dalvin Cook? Didn't he get hurt?
I don't know.
I mean, he'd be up there. He had a monster season.
But, yeah, it's probably going to be Alex Smith because, the story there is too good to not.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with whatever they do.
Yeah, I don't
it's
really
the comeback
care.
player of the year award.
I ultimately don't care.
Ben cares, to be honest with you.
No.
But now we move on to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And there's some names here. I think it's a little overrated of a class, to be honest with you. I've heard some guys being left out in favor of guys that I don't think necessarily are Hall of Famers. Let me just start off by saying this. I'm going to piss off a lot of people, but ready for this?
Here we go. Yes.
All right. So I don't think Clay Matthews is a Hall of Famer. I don't.
Okay.
I think he's good. I think he's very good. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I don't look at John Lynch as a Hall of Famer. I think he's very good, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I think Leroy Butler, very good, could make it someday. Don't think he's a Hall of Famer, guaranteed. Tony Baselli, good. I think he's very good. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but I'm sure he'll probably get in. Sam Mills, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think Zach Thomas is a Hall of Famer. I would say Rondé Barber, potentially, but he's on the borderline for me.
See, I'm not a history snuff with a lot of these guys, so I'm gonna have to take most of your word for it.
Oh,
so
thank you.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I'll ride with you for most of these guys, except for a few of them I do know about. But
okay, so we'll start off. Who would you vote for? You get 5 votes out of those guys. You're looking at the list. Who are you taking?
Allen.
You're taking Jared Allen.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else? Who else is on the list? Manning, right? Obviously,
yeah.
Calvin Johnson, clearly. I'll throw Faneca in there just because I'm a Steelers fan.
Oh, I think he's very deserving.
Charles Woodson. Is that 5? That was 5, I think.
So
or do I got one
Allen,
more?
Faneca, Charles Woodson, Peyton, and then who's your 5th?
I guess I do have one more. I don't know. Honestly, no one jumps off the list to me. I guess I'll say Torrey Holt just for you.
There's your 5.
There you go.
All right, so who I would vote for, you actually left out Calvin Johnson.
No, I put him in.
Oh, you did put him in. Oh, then
then you miscounted?
I have no idea.
Then we got to take Holt off and then take Holt back off and put Calvin on. Sorry, guys.
No, that's fine. All right, so I'm going to go with Peyton Manning.
Yep.
I think it's a no-brainer. First ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time. In the argument, in my opinion, greatest quarterback ever.
What?
Absolutely.
Amazing. What a take.
Absolutely.
Okay.
He's one of the greatest.
You just said the greatest quarterback of all time.
I think he's in the argument.
Oh, okay. Fine. I thought you just said now.
I have Rodgers.
Because you had Rodgers. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
No, I wouldn't back down on my opinion that quickly.
All right.
So I'll say that. Calvin Johnson. This will be funny because there's going to be voters in there thinking, well, Calvin Johnson just doesn't have the longevity and he didn't win a playoff game. And I'm like, you think I give a damn? Calvin Johnson was called Megatron for a reason, folks.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, and he retired early. So did Barry Sanders. Are you going to all of a sudden take Barry Sanders out of the equation because he retired early? Give me a break. I've seen that, and it annoys me. The other one, Torrey Holt. This guy had a monstrous career. He was He was in the greatest show on turf, but here's the thing. If you're going to use that argument against him, just like you did with Bruce for years, which was ridiculous, here's the thing. He didn't play with the greatest show on turf his whole career. He was with Mark Bulger the majority of his career. Mm-hmm. And I find that really rich how people will be like, well, Reggie Wayne had better stats. Well, yeah, Reggie Wayne played longer, and his entire career was with Peyton Manning. And I think he played with Luck. So it's like, oh, congrats. You played with Peyton Manning, you played with Luck, and Torrey Holt played with Kurt Warner and Mark Bulger. And he played with Kurt Warner for, 40 years? So I just think that's ridiculous to me. Torrey Holt had multiple 1,000-yard seasons. I'm going to look it up right now because it's totally escaping me. I had it right off the top of my head. Totally forgot. But Torrey Holt had 74 touchdowns. He had 920 receptions, 1,300-plus yards. He had 2 seasons in which he had over 1,600 yards. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, so 6 seasons with over 1,300 yards. So he had, if you look at this, basically he had 8 seasons of over 1,000 yards in every one of those seasons. His last season in St. Louis, he started 14 games, 64 receptions, 796 yards. He was 32. So he didn't have, as soon as his prime ended, it was done for him, right? He didn't last as long. But I just think you didn't care about longevity when you put in Terrell Davis, okay? Torrey Holt has a Super Bowl win, which you obsess over. Not you, but I mean they do. He has multiple 7-time Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, Hall of Fame All-2000s team. He's a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
And I think he should be in. And if you're going to make the argument, again, not you, the Hall of Fame, if you're going to make the argument and say, well, we don't want 2 wide receivers, who else are you putting over Torrey Holt?
I hate when they do that stuff.
We need a perfect class where we need an offensive lineman.
Bro, if it's all linemen, I don't care. If they all earned it and they were better than the other people, put them all in. All offensive linemen, I don't care.
I mean, at least it's better than the baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
They didn't even have anybody this year.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. All right. Then I have Alan Faneca. And I know you were saying he's a Steeler, so I'll put him in. But I want to give him some credit. He's legitimately one of the greatest interior offensive linemen to ever play this sport.
Cool.
Okay, so, he's legit. And it's not just a favoritism thing with you. He absolutely belongs in. And just to explain, Pro Football Reference has this, Hall of Fame monitor analytic thing that they have. So they have the average Hall of Famer at 109 points. They gave Faneca 140 points.
Nice.
To me, that's first ballot. To me, that should be in. He's below Randall McDaniel, John Hanna, and Bruce Matthews.
Okay.
So they have him as 4th all time.
That's crazy.
So he should absolutely 100% be in.
Makes sense.
The next guy that I think will, well, I won't get to that yet. We'll say the guy that I voted for 5th is Charles Woodson. When you look at this,
I like Charles Woodson a lot.
Charles Woodson's one of the greats.
Yeah.
They have him about 6th or 7th here. Average Hall of Famer for defensive back. You need 106 points. His Hall of Fame grade, 127. He's around Willie Wood, Ed Reed, Ronnie Lott, Deion Sanders, Rod Woodson, Larry Wilson, Mel Brown.
I mean, he's a great one.
Yeah. So to me, Woodson, Calvin, and Manning are guarantees.
Those are the 3 names that I'm they should be in, period.
But I think Holt probably,
Holt,
he belongs. And I don't think he should wait as long as Bruce. He could absolutely miss. My concern is they do the whole, well, we're putting Peyton in, so why don't we put in Reggie Wayne?
Which would be, yeah.
Do you look at Reggie Wayne and think he's better than Torrey Holt? I just don't. I think he's really good.
I loved him
too. But I look at Marvin Harrison, he might have been better than Holt.
Yeah.
I felt like Reggie Wayne was a notch below. And I know the stats say otherwise, but he played longer.
I just don't think he should be in yet.
Yeah,
I think Reggie Wayne should be in at some point, but probably not yet.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Now looking at who I think will get in. This is my prediction, not who I want to get in. Peyton Manning, Calvin Johnson, Tony Baselli, Richard Seymour, and Charles Woodson.
Okay.
I'll say on Baselli and Seymour.
I mean, it's a solid list.
I think Seymour's going to get in because he was part of that Patriots dynasty. Average Hall of Fame grade, according to PFR, has him at 103. His was 97, so to me, he's a borderline Hall of Famer. But I think he'll get in. And then Tony Baselli, to me, has been, he's been getting all this interest lately, and they're really pushing for him.
So you think he'll get in as the lineman over a Faneca?
And I do, and it pisses me off, honestly, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything wrong with Baselli, but, again, the average Hall of Fame tackle, the point percentage, 101.
Yeah. 101.
He was at 85.
Oh, Jesus.
So he's, I don't even call that the borderline.
Not that this is,
and that's not the end-all, be-all.
Yeah,
but I just think Faneca, let's go back and let's just take a look at Faneca, okay? Faneca has a Super Bowl, which Baselli does not have. He has 6 All-Pros. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler. He went to the Steelers. He was with the Jets. He was with the Cardinals. He played from 1998 to 2010. He played
career.
At a very high level.
Yep.
He made a Pro Bowl with the Jets in his second to last year, age 33. So I don't think it's close. I think Faneca is one of the absolute greats. I always thought that watching football. I just always thought he was the best.
He was a monster,
league.
Dude.
Him and Kevin Mawai, I felt like were the 2 top interior. Well, and then Steve Hutchinson as well, who's already in. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being being a little hard on Baselli, but I would definitely go to bat for Faneca and Torrey Holt.
Fair enough.
And they just happen to be on both of our teams.
Yeah.
But I really would, and I think Seymour deserves credit. Because Seymour had a good career. I'm not saying he didn't. And there were times where Seymour was one of the best defensive ends in the league.
Yeah.
But, I look at this and I think...
And it's not like if you miss this, you're out.
Yeah, well, they're going to
They don't have to go in today.
Exactly.
And
Tom Brady, obviously, he was talking, I'd love Richard Seymour to get in. I'm like, I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
He was great with you. But, he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. I think they'll focus so much on that.
Yeah.
He has the same amount of Pro Bowls as Torrey Holt and Faneca, and he's 3-time All-Pro. And I just feel like because he was part of that Patriots dynasty, he'll get in on this first try. And I don't agree with it, but that's enough, where I'm at on that. What about you? Where do you see the prediction going?
Oh, Jesus, dude, I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to stick with my list. I think it's a good enough list, and I'm okay with it. Yeah.
You think Faneca gets in?
I do, only because of what I've heard from other people.
Okay.
And
I haven't been seeing anything today.
You haven't?
To be fair.
Yeah.
I'm just going based on, kind of
I've heard good things about Faneca's chances, so I'll roll with that and say sure.
I mean, if I'm being honest with you, because there's people like Zach Thomas, to me, is a underrated guy that deserves credit as a honorable mention. I would have put him, if I was voting 6 players in, I would have voted for him. And the reason being is, this is somebody, he didn't have a Super Bowl, but he was 7-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro.
The Super Bowl thing is overrated if they're really pushing on that, man.
They do.
Because that's such a team accolade that if you're just
on
a bad...
Well, they push on it until it, benefits Torrey Holt.
Right. But if you're on a bad team, you're never going to get one. Even though you could be the rock star of all rocks. Should J.J. Watt not be in the discussion for Hall of Fame?
J.J. Watt is way past the...
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. I'm I think that's overblown. The Super Bowl piece is
Yeah, I mean, Zach Thomas, he has a 112 grade, and the average Hall of Fame linebacker is 114.
Right.
Urlacher had 113. Kuechly has 118. So, he retired in 2019.
Yep.
So he'll be up soon. But ahead of those guys, Dick Butkus, Jack Lambert, Mike Singletary, and Ray Lewis.
Right. Short list of amazing, incredible players. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Zach Thomas, if he gets in, I won't be mad. I think he is a Hall of Famer. I've seen people saying he's not. The guy that I don't see at all, and again, this might piss people off, but, Leroy Butler could get in at some point. I think he could be a Hall of Famer. I think Rondé Barber at some point. But I don't see John Lynch at all. I know he's well respected, in the game. He was an announcer. He's a GM for the 49ers. I have nothing against him. I loved listening to him announce. I like him. I met him. I'll be honest with you. He has the 75 grade, average defensive backs 106. And that's kind of where I feel he is. I don't feel like he's as close as they're making it out to be.
Right. Yeah.
So I hate to get down to it and do make these arguments about why these guys don't belong in the Hall of Fame. But this is not the Hall of Very Good. This is the Hall of Elite. This is the Hall of Fame. This is the best of the best. And I feel like if you're going to vote in a guy like Zach Thomas, cool. If you're going to vote in a guy like Reggie Wayne at some point, fine. He shouldn't go over Holt, but He belongs. If you're going to vote in Faneca, absolutely. Seymour belongs at some point as well. Sam Mills has an argument. I don't necessarily think Clay Matthews has an argument. Peyton Manning, 100%. I just think there's a lot of guys here in the finalists where this is a overrated finalist class because I feel like it's easy. It should be Peyton.
Well, maybe it will be
Calvin. It should be Woodson.
Maybe it'll be those guys.
Faneca, Holt, and Zach Thomas are the top 6, in my opinion. I don't think it's really close after that.
We'll see. We'll see if there's any surprises there.
There probably will be.
Yeah, there usually is at least one. But
we're a little bit over 1:30, and we have the draft. Anything you want to talk about the NFL draft? Anything stands to mind, or do you want to just go right to the Super Bowl?
I say we just go to the Super Bowl.
Let's go to the Super Bowl. We're in the NFL mood. Like we're not really gonna we won't discuss the draft. We'll talk about the Super Bowl. So
plenty of time for the draft talk.
Yeah, we have plenty of time for that. So all right, Super Bowl, the moment you guys have all been waiting for.
Let's go, baby.
So we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Literally,
I know.
No AFC team has won a Super Bowl the same year they've beaten the team they are playing early in the season. That's an interesting thing to me because the Patriots fell to this. They lost to the Giants after they beat them in the regular season. And another most recent was the Rams. They actually lost to the Titans, and then they beat them in the Super Bowl. Can the Chiefs overcome this crazy curse?
Yes. They could.
Will they? That is the question.
I'm going Bucks.
You're going Bucks?
Yeah.
I'm going Bucks as well.
I'm riding with Bucks, man. Hey, listen. They were my dark horse when we started talking about the playoffs.
Oh, I know.
And who would I be now to back down from that? I got to ride with the Bucks, man. But I will say that the Chiefs, everyone was saying oh, the Chiefs are barely winning games. They're barely winning games.
I was saying that.
Which is fair and fine. But every time they have to win, they come out and they freaking win, dude. And the Bills was another example where everyone was in the regular season, man, the Chiefs couldn't beat anyone. Barely. They were barely beating people. And then they were okay. And they came out and just wiped the floor with the Bills. Embarrassment.
Yeah.
So I just think they kept things close, and that might have made people think the Chiefs are worse than they are, but I really think they're really just as good as people think. And I think the Chiefs could absolutely win, but I'm just riding with the Bucks because I said they're my dark horse, and I'm not backing down from that now. I want to look like I was right for the last month. So
I'm going to say the Bucks. I had 35-32, and I think, I just think it's going to be difficult for the Chiefs. I don't think they have the best team on paper according to everyone else. It just seemed like this year everyone was just crowning them, and I said, this defense didn't get much better. I think they're coached up pretty well, by their defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo. But I'm not a huge fan of their defense. They're 22 in the league. They're 22nd in the league in giving up, rushing yards. And the Tampa Bay takes you out of the game rushing the football. They're number one. They give up about 80 yards per game, which is really impressive. So I look at a guy like Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
We see in the Super Bowl, Malcolm Smith was the Super Bowl MVP for the Seahawks in the Broncos game. Okay, we've seen guys step up in weird moments. This is Leonard Fournette's time. He's going to randomly have a baller game.
He is great in the playoffs.
He's going to randomly have a baller game, and I think that the Chiefs are just going to be hard. They're not going to be able to stop Leonard Fournette, and they're not going to be able to stop Ronald Jones.
Yeah, and also, the Bucs just beat the Packers in a game where Brady threw 3 interceptions.
That's
not going to happen again. I don't think. Brady is not the type of player that has back-to-back abysmal games like that. He really doesn't because he just works too hard. He's too motivated. I expect Brady to bounce back and have a really good game because everyone is talking trash right now, and he always responds. Can you ever think of a time where Brady didn't respond after having a bad game or where he went on a tail slide of just miserable game after miserable game? I can't. So I think it was actually bad that for the Chiefs, that the Bucs and Brady had a bad game and they can bounce back from that because – if he had wiped the floor with the Packers and, threw 6 touchdowns and 0 picks, then you could be looking at a game where they bring him back down to earth. But he can only go up from here. So I think it puts together nicely for Brady to have a really good game. And if they were able to beat the Packers after doing that, it's going to be tough for the Chiefs to win. Yeah.
I think Tampa has done a nice job of protecting Brady this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Really, the only time I felt like they were really battle-tested was against Chuck Pagano's defense and Brandon Staley's defense.
Yeah.
I felt like when you get to Brady and you hit him, he can get a little rattled, and we saw that. He threw two interceptions to Jordan Fuller in the Rams game. The Bears won the whole fourth, that whole meme thing. So you can beat them. You can.
Yeah.
But I just think that Tampa, they're going to come out, they're going to want to run the football, establish that, set up play action, and you have Antonio Brown back, who they didn't have last week.
I thought he's questionable.
I think he's going to play. It's the Super Bowl.
Probably.
I'm assuming all those guys that are questionable play.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Super Bowl.
No, that's fair.
So you have Brown back. Say they just use him as a decoy. It's still going to help.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, Brady's been, the best deep ball thrower which is stupid to say, but he has been, which is crazy. And you get Brown back, that's going to help.
I still think that Kansas City will, their best players will perform. I don't think they'll lose because they'll be shut down. I think Mahomes will have his moments. I think Tyreek Hill. I think Travis Kelce. But
you think the Bucs are more well-rounded, right?
They are.
Yeah.
They absolutely are. The Chiefs abandoned the run.
Yep.
That's the biggest problem. What have we said? The teams that have been winning in the playoffs, they all run the football well.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that, I think they were better than the Bills. They beat them earlier in the season, and it didn't look really that close. Josh Allen turns the ball over like crazy. Patrick Mahomes does not turn the ball over like crazy. And Tampa has a really good defense coached by Todd Bowles that I just don't think is getting enough credit. He also isn't getting enough credit. And I look at Kansas City, and I'm like, they didn't really upgrade their defense this year. They added, a guy in the draft in the fourth round, L'Jarius Sneed. They added Willie Gay and Mike Dana. And, they've played a little bit, but they're not,
world beaters.
Yeah, exactly. Willie Gay was their second-round pick.
Yeah.
They drafted a running back with their first-round pick, who they don't even really use.
Yep.
So I have my, legitimate concerns about them being, a more well-rounded team than, the Buccaneers, who just, they have it all.
Yeah, dude.
You look at the Buccaneers, and
they're at home.
They're at home.
It's come on.
They're hard to beat at home.
Yeah.
But, you look at the guys they had. They go out and they get Tristan Wirfs at right tackle, Donovan Smith, Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen.
That's a great offensive line, man.
I think their offensive line's very good. And then keep this in mind. Tom Brady hasn't played every Super Bowl with Gronkowski, but when he does, they win. He has Gronkowski.
Yeah, you could be looking at a game where freaking Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, and Gronkowski are the reason they blow up on offense.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Imagine.
Wouldn't be surprised. I think a guy that's going to have a really good game on the Chiefs, Sammy Watkins. I think he's going to randomly have a really good game like he did last year in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of saved them. I think that's how that's going to go. I look at their defense, though. Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea. By the way, since Vita Vea has been back, their pass rush has been unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
Their pressure rate.
Dude, he's a game changer on that line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, he takes on double teams and allows other guys to get one-on-one matchups.
Yep.
So now
But
you have a guy like Shaquille Barrett on an island who was second in pressures this year.
Yeah.
You know?
Which helped them immensely against the Packers. He was a nightmare to Aaron Rodgers in that Packers game.
Because he literally, this is a guy, Vita Vea, he will go in there and take on three guys.
Right.
And love it.
But he'll still generate pressure doing it. Right.
He'll be an anchor.
Awesome.
He'll generate pressure. We know he's very talented. We watched him.
I liked him a lot, man.
So, yeah, Vita Vea, Ndamukong Suh, William Golston. You have guys like Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah, they're going to shut that run down. And then
their linebackers, bro. Levante David and Devin White. The athleticism in their front seven is incredible. And then their back end, you have Carlton Davis. You have Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Ross Cockrell. And in the back end of their secondary,
Winfield.
you have a guy like, Jordan Whitehead, who I don't think gets enough credit. In 2018, he was a fourth-round pick out of Pitt. I don't think he gets enough credit at all. I think he plays very well. And then you just mentioned Winfield, who was my number one safety in the draft. Loved him.
No, the Bucs are for real, man.
I mean, the Bucs just have the best all-around team.
Yeah, they're going to shut that run down, and then, they're going to give up some because it's Patrick Mahomes, but they're going to be able to at least contain it. It's not going to be an offensive kind of blowout.
Like, I don't look at the Chiefs and think they can win if Patrick Mahomes doesn't play well.
Well, of course. Yeah.
I look at the Bucs and say Tom Brady doesn't even need to be that good, and he can win.
Well, we saw it against the Packers.
Yeah.
I mean, he was not bad. The interceptions were misleading.
Plus, he has the experience. He's going to be in his 10th Super Bowl. He's been there. He's been the moment. Mahomes is there last year, so
Mahomes can handle the moment. I'm not worried about that.
No, I get that, but at the same time, it's like Mahomes can handle it, but Tom Brady can counter that. So it's not like Mahomes has any advantage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Plus, their deep ball. The biggest thing with Tom Brady is, like, for whatever reason, his deep ball was gone in New England at the end of his career in New England. And
I think it was the weapons.
And this year, man, well, the ball flight, it just didn't travel anywhere near. This year, he is throwing a different deep ball.
Well, he's also in Tampa, so that probably helps.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And I think, guys like, say, Chris Godwin this year who feel like maybe he should have had a breakout season, and the injuries, the fact that Tom really started to target a guy like Mike Evans a lot more.
And then Antonio Brown and Tom connected towards the end. So
Antonio Brown, keep in mind, Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin are both free agents after the season. This is their moment to really let everyone that's watching on TV see what they can do.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if Antonio Brown's just like, give me the ball. And
I wouldn't be surprised if Antonio Brown is their leading receiver this game.
I wouldn't either.
He is a freaking, say what you want about him, and I've said a lot because he screwed the Steelers in so many ways.
I'm not a big fan of him.
He is a superstar, and he rises to the occasion. That is just the kind of guy he is. So I would not be surprised at all if he's literally the leading receiver in the Super Bowl.
So how do you see this going down? Because I think Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs go down the field, they tie the game up, and there's about 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, and Tom Brady goes down the field, leads them to a game-winning field goal.
What? You're saying that's a scenario? How would I feel about it?
No, that's how I feel.
Oh, you feel how that's going to go. Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. But I think the Bucs are going to do a good job controlling it with the run game and stopping the run as well. And I don't think it's ever going to – I mean, if it turns into a shootout, that's probably going to play better into the Chiefs' hands. So, then anything could happen. But I just see it being close. I don't know if it's like last minute kind of game, but I see the Bucs being kind of comfortable in this like throughout the game. Like it never gets away from them, if that makes sense.
I see the Chiefs leading the majority of the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, okay. I do. And then I think what's going to end up happening, though, is the fact that Tampa can run the ball. They'll be able to go back to whatever they want to do. And the Chiefs will be limited. And so I think they'll probably go to half leading and look good, and people will be talking, wow, like their passing attack is unbelievable. And then when they have to run the football, they're not going to be able to. And I think that is that's the problem, is that this Chiefs team doesn't run the football very well. How do you kill the clock? You run the football. How do you control the tempo? You run the football. How do you control the time of possession? You run the football. If they can't do that, and Tampa's not going to let them, and they're not great even against the bad run defense, then I'm sorry, they're not going to be able to do much. So I think they'll get off to a great start. I think Tampa will struggle early on. People will say, what's going on? This is awful, all that. And then I think Tampa will take over in the second half. And then, the Chiefs will be able to come back because, they'll be in that, 2-minute offense where Patrick Mahomes will just swing it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I still think not having a run game is going to be their downfall. I've said that all year long. They drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. One thing I'll say, though, I love him. I think he should be used more, and I think that they have a guy. But they lost their left tackle. They lost Eric Fisher.
Right.
I think that's going to hurt them.
Of course.
They haven't played a game since he went down with an injury.
That is going to hurt them.
Mike Remmers is
their line in general is
tackle. Oh, yeah.
Decimated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Their starters, according to our lads, is Mike Remmers, Nick Allegretti, Austin Reiter.
I don't recognize any of those.
Steven Wisniewski, I think he played for
him.
Steelers.
I recognize, yeah.
And Andrew Wiley.
So they're going up against the D-line we just gushed over for the Bucs. Rough. It's going to have to be the Mahomes show.
I just think Mahomes can do it.
Of course he can, but it has
his ability to work off script is going to allow them to do it. Plus, these receivers are trained in the way of Mahomes, and the fact that Tyreek Hill won't just run his route if he realizes, okay, I'm not going to be thrown to.
Yeah.
I'm going to run to a section of the field where I can get open. They have a lot of guys that can work off schedule like that, not just at quarterback, but in the wide receiver room. I just think the Bucs, and again, it'll be a close game. I have it 35-32.
Sure, yeah.
But I think the Bucs just have too much.
I agree.
If the Chiefs were fully healthy on the offensive line, I might pick the Chiefs. I just think they can't run the football with a good offensive line. Now that their offensive line's decimated, there's no way. Plus, you add the number one run defense in the league against it.
It's going to be rough. It's going to be a good game, though.
Yeah.
All right. Cool, man.
So,
you want to do fan comments, interaction, or what are you thinking for
yeah,
signing
now
off?
If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever, we'll gladly answer all of them. All right, let's go back through. Assuming everybody's still in here. So Jefferson, Don C mentioned that earlier. Okay, so one thing I'll say though.
What?
Do you think either of these teams, tomorrow night, do you see them back there next year? Because I don't.
Yeah. Why not?
I just think the AFC is getting tougher.
Brady's not going to drop off a cliff.
I don't think he'll drop off a cliff.
He would have by now.
But I don't think, would they beat the Packers again? Probably. They could.
Well, they're going to get better in the offseason, too, you would assume. Well,
no, honestly,
how many
they might lose Godwin and Brown.
No, I'm sure they'll keep one. What's their cap space like right now?
They have $13 million. Keep in mind, Brady's
I just don't see either team getting progressively worse in the offseason.
No, I get that.
And they have the
when you win a
draft
Super Bowl,
to get better.
You get poached.
Yeah.
And so I think, I don't know. I don't see it. I think.
You think both won't be back in or just?
I don't think both will be back in. I don't.
No, I'm saying, do you think either will be back? Like, no
I think
shot.
There's a chance neither
Chiefs.
of them get in.
Yeah, okay.
Because next year, think about this. So we look at the AFC, right? Whoever gets Watson.
Who's going to be the biggest threat outside of the Chiefs? I mean, is it the Bills? I don't know if it is.
I think the Steelers are a threat.
Yeah.
The Steelers, I'll say this. The Steelers could have challenged Kansas City if they were fully healthy.
Yeah, we got decimated down the stretch.
Because, not having Devin Bush was
Devin
awful.
Bush and Bud Dupree, but we're going to lose Dupree. But Devin Bush was a huge blow that no one talks about.
I mention it all the time.
Well, you do, yeah.
But, because I know how Devin Bush is used. He's supposed to cover, that middle of the field, and he's a monster. He could be used in, a Tampa 2 defense because he's so athletic. But not having him was really crucial against – we talked about this. Robert Spillane was isolated on Jarvis Landry. If Bush is there, he would have won that matchup, I think, or at least
he would have competed. Yeah.
So I think the Steelers. I think the Bills. Another year, Josh Allen learns from his mistakes.
Yeah.
Develops a little bit more. Defense is going to be better, hopefully. So the Bills are up there. The Ravens are interesting. The Titans. I think that there's a team, though, that no one knows yet. If, say, the Raiders get Deshaun Watson, they could be in the conversation.
Yeah, right. It does matter where Watson goes, obviously, because he'll change a team in a second.
Wentz, if he goes to the Colts, I think that he will succeed, and I think the Colts have what it takes to win a Super Bowl.
I don't know.
I just think, in the hold on. The Chargers.
I know, you like the Chargers.
The Chargers, man. 7-9. 7-9.
You said you could see him in the Super Bowl.
I could see it being an LA Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's very realistic.
I don't see that.
I think Brandon Staley is going to make that defense top 5.
I think the Rams could be in it.
And
I don't see the Chiefs yet.
Herbert is just an animal. I think he.
Yeah, but dude, that's such a leap.
Not really.
7-9 to the Super Bowl. That's a big step.
Well, think about this. Who went their second year? Who went to the Super Bowl? The Rams.
What?
Brian Billick's Ravens. His second year of coaching. I won't say it's the craziest thing.
It's not obviously it's not the craziest thing, but it's a big step. Big step.
I mean, I think the Chiefs. The problem with the Chiefs is they're gonna have it tough next year because the Chargers are back. I think the Broncos. We'll see what they do, but they were decimated with injuries.
Apparently they don't like Drew Lock over there.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that had to do with his shoulder injury. To be honest with you,
Maybe.
I don't think he fully recovered and probably fought that all year.
So who would you say your top 3 teams are to compete for the Super Bowl in the AFC next year?
AFC?
Obviously Chiefs,
Steelers. Man, that's tough. Chargers or Colts?
Okay. That's fair.
I'm
you like the
really
Chargers.
high on the Chargers.
Yeah, fair enough.
In the NFC, in this order, I think it would be the Rams, the Buccaneers, and
I have a hard time disagreeing with that. And then
Rams, Buccaneers, and either Packers, or if Watson goes to the Panthers, then the Panthers.
I think I would go for NFC Rams, Bucks, Packers, AFC Chiefs, Steelers probably, and then probably Bills. I expect the Bills to keep kind of trending up.
Yeah, I think my super dark horse team is the Chargers in the AFC.
Yeah.
The Colts are probably more realistic, but I think if they get Wentz, but
yeah,
I think
they're more realistic
Chargers
for
are
sure.
my super dark horse team, and then in the NFC, I don't care who they get. Carolina, man, they're primed. I said that this year. I was a year away, but they were in every game. I think they're gonna figure it out.
Okay.
So I'd say Carolina. I'd say Chargers.
All right.
So
good stuff.
Well, that's how we'll leave that. MVP prediction next year.
That's way too soon, bro. It could be Watson.
Which team?
I have no idea. I don't know where he's going to
Watson
land.
just figured it out already?
I know.
Can they just figure? Like,
because
I need to know.
He could go to a team that you're immediately like, they are the Super Bowl favorite, NFC and AFC, just Super Bowl favorite. Or you could go to a team and you're like, oh, his career's
How about this?
done.
Will any of the top 4, assuming we have the same top 4 quarterbacks, Lawrence, Lance, no matter what order you put them in, Lawrence, Lance, Wilson, and Fields, will any of them be in a playoff game next year?
Sure. I could see that.
You think so?
Because I think some good teams are going to be aggressive in getting one of those guys.
Ooh, interesting. Like Washington, maybe?
Yeah, like I don't think it's just going to be all the bottom-dwelling teams get those guys. I think there's going to be some movement in this draft where like good or just barely playoff teams make a jump to go get one of them, and those guys are good enough to then push them into the playoffs.
What rebuild are you most interested in?
The like full-scale rebuild where they're just like bad all around.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Because I would say Washington.
I mean, I think Washington.
If we're calling them rebuild, okay, so they're not.
So I mean, I would say, like for me, I'd say the Lions because I'm really interested to know how that.
That was going to be what I said if it wasn't Washington. Yeah, Lions.
Yeah. So like, what do you think they'll do next year?
Got to get your quarterback now with your pick. I don't think Goff is it. I just don't. I mean, I think they give him a run because you brought him on. You're going to give him a shot, but I think you're using one of those picks on a quarterback. And then I think you got to build that offensive line. I think they got to build in the trenches first. It's going to take some time.
That's one of their best pieces, surprisingly.
Yeah. So just build it out, make sure it's good on both sides, defense and offense. You want those trenches solid and good. And then you add the key pieces after, like the explosive kind of, game-changing players at the receiver position and go from there. They got to build out that team.
I mean, I just need to know who Jared Goff's throwing the ball to.
Right, exactly.
I mean, all of those guys are free agents. Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay. I mean,
they need weapons in general. So
I mean, right now the starting wide receiver would be Quintez Cephas, which I like him.
Never heard of him.
Oh yeah, he was. So I liked his college film. I think he's a little underrated. He had some moments, but no, I think it's going to be the Hawkinson show. They'll probably draft some young receivers. They'll build that the right way. I think Brad Holmes. They'll draft some young receivers. They'll have Hawkinson be the guy, and they'll just want to run the football with DeAndre Swift.
What do you think about Goff, though? Do you think he could succeed there, or do you think
absolutely.
they just took him on just to take him off the Rams' hands?
No, what I'll say, and here's some insight for people that don't know, is that Brad Holmes loves Jared Goff.
Oh,
Brad
okay.
Holmes is actually the reason they traded up and got Goff. He was the one pounding the
So
table.
he's a Goff believer.
Yes.
Okay.
So he was the one pounding the table for that trade, and they went up and got Goff. And for the most part, that building was very split.
Yeah.
So he was second in command after Les Snead, and he got his say. I wouldn't be surprised if Jared Goff ends up succeeding. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't draft a quarterback if they don't draft a quarterback at all. I don't know if that's the right way to go. I mean, I probably would grab Lance if he's there.
You could, yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, I think Lance is the best quarterback in this draft. You know where I stand on him. I do.
Wait, you officially over Lawrence? Dude, no.
Dude, I think he's special. I really do.
Just not enough sample size for me.
Yeah, I think
I would put him at 2. I like him more than Fields.
My question, though, I don't know where Wilson has an argument as well.
He does.
Like
You're
Zach Wilson is a
right.
baller. Like, I mean, he's
He
not
was
getting
ridiculous.
enough credit. I think people they heard that JetBlue conversation, and it's like now they've just soured on him, and
Which
they've
is
just
so dumb.
painted him as Johnny Manziel.
You have
but
no
I'm
idea.
Like, he turned BYU into like a team I want to watch on TV.
You're right.
Simply put,
dude. You're right. He was phenomenal.
Thoughts on Zach Wilson if he could succeed, Ryan? I guess I answered your question without realizing you asked the question.
Okay, so what's your order? Let's sign off with this then. What's your order of quarterbacks in this draft? The top 5.
So early on, I would say Lance, Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, and number 5, I'm going to say Davis Mills from Stanford.
Davis Mills. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I love Davis Mills.
I would go Lawrence. God. I feel like I'm really disrespecting Wilson. I'll say Lance just because I watched more tape on him, so I'm more familiar. Wilson, Fields, and then I think, probably Mac Jones. I don't love him in the first round, but I just feel like I trust him more.
My thing is, I don't love Mac Jones. I don't love Kyle Trask. And keep in mind, I'm not being biased here. I like Alabama. People were saying, yo, you don't like Mac Jones. It's like, I don't hate Alabama. Right. A lot of people do, and I get that, but I'm not one of those people. So, Mac Jones, to me, I just kind of look at him like he was a product of their system. And I feel like he only threw to top wide receiver prospects. Let's just go down the line real quick.
I know.
Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
What's his face? Devontae Smith.
Yep. And then the other guy, what's his name?
Yeah, I forgot the other.
People are saying he's a first-round wide receiver too.
Oh, Waddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Najee Harris is your running back.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you have at least 2 NFL offensive linemen blocking for you.
Yeah. Dickerson and Leatherwood.
Yeah. It's a nice setup. But I still think he did really good things.
I don't want to say he's bad.
He's not bad.
But I definitely think he was a product of what was around him.
Well, it definitely helped, yeah.
And what I worry about is he's like Sam Bradford in a sense, he's got pinpoint accuracy. Yeah, because he's throwing all these wide open wide receivers that create separation, has all the time in the world. Sam Bradford, I felt like people were obsessed with, but it's he was at Oklahoma. Look at the guys that were around him, man. He had Trent Williams as his left tackle. The guys that create separation. I believe he had Adrian Peterson as his running back. At least DeMarco Murray was very good. So yep. I don't know. I worry about that. I want battle-tested quarterbacks. Trey Lance is battle-tested. Zach Wilson, dude, watch that guy get his face pounded in. He'll get right back up and throw a touchdown on you.
Yeah.
Justin Fields was battle-tested. Look, Ohio State, they have amazing recruiting class, and they've had really good offensive linemen, but I still watch this guy get pushed around, and he made plays. I didn't see that with Mac Jones. I didn't even see that with Trevor Lawrence, to be honest with you.
No. You need to watch more. How much have you watched? Because he's definitely done that.
I've watched about 9 games of Trevor Lawrence. I'm
not as high on Trevor Lawrence. I don't know what games you're watching, bro.
One thing I'll say is that I think Trevor Lawrence, the idea of him being the superstar quarterback, is grown bigger than what Trevor Lawrence is. And that was my concern.
Because I feel like a lot of people are doing what you're doing right now and being like, he's not that guy. He's actually not that great.
I think because Trevor Lawrence, people have been saying he's generational, but is he though? Because I look at Andrew Luck, and to me, if you think not you, but in general, if you think that Trevor Lawrence is 100% guaranteed a perfect prospect, Go back and watch Luck film. Go back and watch John Elway. Because those are the two best prospects of all time.
Okay.
Quarterback prospects.
I think Trevor Lawrence has definitely earned his role as the number one quarterback. I think he's really done a lot of great things.
I mean, he might end up being QB3 for me. It depends on Wilson. I think Wilson is stellar. I really do.
He is, but
I feel like it's very structured with Lawrence for me. There's a lot of the bubble screens and what have you. Dude has a killer arm. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
And I think
Trey Lance had a lot of pretty easy offensive.
Well, they were on a pro-style offense in North Dakota State, though.
Doesn't matter. It was a run-heavy offense, a lot of play action. There was plenty of that stuff.
That's why I think Wilson does more than anybody.
Trevor Lawrence ran a more, as far as route concepts go, pro-style offense than Trey Lance did, for sure.
I would definitely say the guy that does more with less is, you could say Lance plays in the FCS. But I would probably say Wilson does more with less.
I haven't watched him enough, but I definitely do want to go watch him.
Go back and watch the Coastal Carolina game. Dude, just is getting decked left and right. And I think they lost that game too. But, I love the way he battled back and was constantly just shoved. There was that one play.
He'll probably be the second quarterback taken.
I don't know, man.
Zach, I just feel like he will.
I feel like Fields is guaranteed to be the second
quarterback
taken. I don't think Fields is the second quarterback.
Yeah, me neither.
And I think Fields is really good. I think that's the problem is that, this year it's making it look like, you have Fields QB4? Yeah, did you see the other three guys ahead of him?
That's still, basically top 10 picks.
Yeah,
so. It's
okay, we can guarantee this. No matter where you have Lawrence, and I'm not as high on him as everyone else, but I still think he's a franchise quarterback. I still think he could be a star in the league. I'm terrified of him going to Jacksonville because I don't think he'll succeed there. I think he'll be another Stafford where he's stuck in a horrible situation.
Yeah.
But I think 4 quarterbacks are going to the top 10. Maybe 15, but I would probably say top 10.
I would say top 10. I think teams are going to be aggressive about moving there.
And keep in mind, you're at home. You watch what the Rams did getting Stafford. You watch what whatever team does and gets
with the Watson.
You're like, I have to match that.
And then with the 3 other quarterbacks, Wentz could be going, Carr could be going.
If you miss out on that, you have to get involved in this.
Yeah.
I think, where do you think each one goes? Because I think Lawrence goes to Jacksonville.
Well, yeah, that's obvious.
I think Lance goes to Atlanta. No, I think Fields goes to Atlanta. I feel like the 49ers get Zach Wilson. And I think Lance goes to either the Panthers or the Lions.
I just think there's going to be teams that trade up in there to get into that mix and shake it all up. There's going to be a team that moves up and takes one of those guys and just shakes it up.
Who's the biggest team? The way, when the Chiefs traded up for Patrick Mahomes, everyone lost their minds. Who's the biggest team that could trade up?
God, that's a great question. I don't know, man. We're talking was a good team is in the back of the first round and don't make a splash that.
It just doesn't happen very often.
It does not. Maybe the Saints, but they
have no cap space. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Well, it's a draft pick.
That's
not that
they
concerning.
Don't have how do you trade up though?
I don't know. But I'm thinking situationally because they were just in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Drew Brees is gone. I don't see the Steelers doing it really. I don't know.
The Bears maybe,
but I don't consider that as big as what the Chiefs did.
The Colts might if they miss out on Wentz.
Yeah.
The Colts should if they miss out on Wentz.
But it's going to be one of those teams that does it and shakes the rest of it up, and then you just don't know.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Who else could it be? I don't think Baltimore.
Nah, Baltimore loves Lamar.
Lamar's going to be there for the next 10 years.
Yeah. Harbaugh just came out and said they're signing him. He was like, it's happening. We're doing it. So
Good. I'm glad. The Titans, they're sold on Tannehill. And they should be. He's played very, very well.
Yeah, he has done no wrong there.
Let
me just look at the draft order.
Well, you mentioned earlier, the team is really soured on Drew Lock. What if the Broncos made a trade like that? Not saying they're a top team, but they could definitely be up there.
Potentially. I I mean, Minnesota might make a little bit of a jump.
Washington, Minnesota.
Washington would be New England, bro.
All right, so I think New England is going to do something like wacky. Like they're either going to get a
smart wacky or stupid wacky.
Trubisky, Garoppolo, or get like a Zach Wilson.
Miami could do it.
I mean, Miami's already in there.
What? No. Well, yeah, one of the. But with that pick 18, if they wanted to go like back in and.
Couldn't you? All right, here's the scenario for you.
Kind of doubled.
So they draft Devontae Smith, and everyone's like, "Oh, they drafted him for Tua," and
that's
then
what I'm saying.
Trade up.
That's what I'm saying.
They
like do
trade
some
up
crazy
and they
shit.
take like Trey Lance.
Exactly, bro.
Dude,
I could see
everyone would
Miami
be like,
doing that.
I can't believe they're doing this to Tua, dude.
I know they'd be mad, but I could see Miami doing that, moving from 18 just back into the top 10, just something weird like that.
Yeah.
Washington, like you said, definitely.
I think Washington has to.
Chicago could make the jump. Indy. There's a lot of teams, bro. That could.
We're in a point in the league where I don't feel like anyone's really comfortable with their quarterback unless you're.
Mahomes.
Right now, the Rams with Stafford getting him. Whoever gets Watson, Mahomes with
Allen.
the Chiefs. I think the Buccaneers with Tom Brady.
Yeah, they're comfortable for another.
Bills with Allen. Steelers with Roethlisberger for the next 2 years.
Baltimore because they just announced
Lamar.
their signing.
Titans with Tannehill.
But it's like half the NFL is potentially like.
Well, like when's the last time we were in this predicament? That Stafford trade changed everything. I really do.
I don't think so. I think teams were looking at all these quarterbacks for. If it wasn't the Rams, it was going to be someone else for Stafford.
No, but I think the price tag, because now people know.
People were offering. Who was it that was going to give the 8th pick and like someone else or something?
No, I know, but
Carolina, right?
Now we know that because now that's out to the public. I'm saying that like before you don't know. You kind of just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. But
I think this was way before the Rams did anything. I think this was building the
and
move on quarterbacks.
Watson also kind of pushed it,
right?
Too.
This was building, I think.
Because as soon as a Watson becomes available, you have to have that internal conversation. Do we? I know, but
and it forced 30 teams to have it.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it creates this rift because
Right.
you're like, no, you couldn't turn your back on him, and you're like, we're turning our back on him
Because they already thought about it with Watson, so it eases. You're like, well, wait, should we also think about it?
It's like when you like a scenario during the draft,
yeah,
and you're like, that doesn't seem realistic, and then you move on to another scenario.
right.
But then you come back and you're like, that's realistic now. I'm back on this scenario,
Yeah.
man. I'm all over that. Like, it's like, it's kind of the same concept in my opinion.
It's very strange, man.
It definitely is, but,
All right.
I think that's it. We had some good last-minute combo. Didn't have a lot of questions, so that's why, we went on a little bit. But next week, we'll talk about the NFL offseason. We'll talk about the Super Bowl. Obviously, whoever wins, we both think it will be Tampa. We haven't really agreed on much in those games. I think there's only one game we agreed on.
Throughout the
Chiefs
playoffs?
Bills?
Throughout the playoffs, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
We disagreed on everything almost. So,
And also, if Aaron Donald or T.J. Watt does not win Defensive Player of the Year, we riot. We riot.
There's going to be an uprising.
Imagine if this just neither.
Dude, what if it's Xavier Howard after what I just said? I will
Imagine,
lose
bro.
my mind. Not that I haven't already lost it, but no, we appreciate you guys. Next week we'll talk about the Super Bowl. We'll talk about the NFL draft. We'll talk about hopefully the off season. We get some news. I'd love to be able to talk about like a Watson deal that goes down or something.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Wentz. Maybe
Something
will
will happen.
Clarity.
Something will give.
Prediction: is there a trade that happens this week, and if so, who?
I think there's a trade. I don't know who or what.
I'm gonna say Watson drags it out. I don't think it happens this week because it's a lot to go over that trade. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked around.
So much, yeah.
I think
maybe another quarterback like a Wentz.
I think Wentz goes to Indy.
Carr, Wentz, like someone there.
Wentz goes to Indy this week.
Okay.
All right, so I'm putting it out there. If it happens, I'm the oracle. If it doesn't happen, you forget about it. But no, appreciate you guys, and you can follow us at the AJ Show Live on Twitter. You can also subscribe to us if you like us on YouTube. And if you're watching it on Facebook, be sure to share this around. Tell your friends. We make a lot of hot takes, but we know what we're talking about, so you listen. But, again, appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your weekend, and enjoy the Hall of Fame, NFL honor ceremony and Super Bowl.
Yes, sir.